audible and is the screen visible? ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ, ನಂದು ವಾಯ್ಸು ಆಡಿಯೋ ಮತ್ತೆ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? One second, I'm just checking here on the system. Audio video clear ಇದ್ರೆ ಬನ್ನಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. Yes. Okay, so let us start our today's class. ಇವತ್ತು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಮುಗಿಸೋಣ. ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಮುಗಿಸಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋಣ ಸರ್? ಏನು ಮಾಡೋಣ? ಮಜಾ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಮುಗೀತು. ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಇಂದ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಇದೆ, ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ TDS TCS ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಇದೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ 1 2 3 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. So I'll just speak about those points and then we'll start with TDS TCS, which is again a simple topic. A problem ಏನಂದ್ರೆ both these topics are little theoretical. So theoretical ಆದರೆ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಇನ್ನೇನಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್? ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಸರ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಯಾರು ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯಾವಾಗ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಲರ್ನ್ ದಟ್. ನೌ section 139(1) is the section which talks about filing income tax return. Section 139(1) section 139 subsection 1 ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ, ಕಂಪನಿ, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಎ ಕಂಪನಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಎ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಫರ್ಮ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ LLP, ನೀವು ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ನ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು ಎವ್ರಿ ಇಯರ್ಗೆ, irrespective of whether you are earning an income or you are making a loss. If you are a company and a partnership firm, you should compulsorily file the income tax return. ಮತ್ತೆ every person who is not a company or a firm should file his income tax return if his total income is more than basic exemption limit. ಸೊ ಕಂಪನಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟು, ಫರ್ಮ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇನ್ನೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಯಾವಾಗ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸರ್? ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಫೈಲ್ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಇಫ್ ದೇರ್ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು? ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಎವ್ರಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಹೂ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಬೆನಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಓನರ್ or who has a signing authority or who is a beneficiary of any asset located outside India. So any person who holds as a beneficial owner or who has a signing authority who is a beneficiary of any asset located outside India should also file his income tax return. Ad bitti yaar file ಮಾಡಬೇಕು sir? Every person whose total income before claiming the deduction under chapter 6A, andre gross total income, correct? So every person whose total income before claiming the deductions under chapter 6A and before claiming exemption under capital gain. Yav exemption capital gain alli irodu? Section 54, 54B, 54D, 54EC, 54F. ಅದು ಕ್ಲೇಮ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ if their income is exceeding the basic exemption limit, then they also have to file their income tax return. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ 6A ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇನ್ಕಮು ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಕ್ಲೇಮಿಂಗ್ ದ ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದಿ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಗೇನ್, ದೆನ್ ನೀವು ಕೂಡ ಇದು ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು. ದೆನ್ ಇನ್ಯಾರು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸರ್? ಎನಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಅದರ್ ದ್ಯಾನ್ ಎ ಕಂಪನಿ ಆರ್ ಎ ಫರ್ಮ್ who is not required to furnish a return under section 139(1) is required to file the return on or before the due date if this point is satisfied. Now if you are any other person, ನೋಡಿ ಕಂಪನಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಫರ್ಮ್ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು. And all the other type of people normally they have to file income tax return if their income is more than basic exemption limit. Now ನೀವು ಆ ಎರಡು ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಫಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, I mean if you are not a company or a partnership firm and if your income is not crossing basic exemption limit, but still you will have to file income tax return. ಆದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ನೀವು income tax return ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಯಾವಾಗ? if he has deposited an amount exceeding 1 crore rupees in current account. ಸೊ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟೆಡ್ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ 1 crore rupees, then you will have to file income tax return. Then you have incurred expenditure of an amount or aggregate amount exceeding 2 lakh rupees for himself or for any other person for foreign travel. ನೀವೆಲ್ಲೋ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ವಿದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ, ಮಜಾ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಈಚೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಈಚೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ, and ಅಲ್ಲಿ you have incurred an expenses of how much sir? More than 2 lakh rupees. Then if he has incurred an expenditure or aggregate of expenditure of rupees 1 lakh or more towards electricity bill. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿ ಬಿಲ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಮನೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿ ಬಿಲ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಾಸು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿಗೆ? ಅರೆ 1 ಲಕ್ಷ ಮೇಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಅಂಡ್ ಹೂ ಫುಲ್ಫಿಲ್ ಸಚ್ ಅದರ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ನೋಡಿ, ಥರ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಏನು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ ಸರ್? ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ನಾವೇನು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ? ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ನೋಡ್ತಿರೋದು ಏನು ಸರ್? ನೀವು ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ಕಂಪ್ನಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಎ ಫರ್ಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್, ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಫೈಲ್ ದ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಯಾವಾಗ? ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ 1 crore in your current account, if you are spending more than 2 lakh rupees for foreign travel, and if you have paid more than 1 lakh rupees as electricity bill in a year. ನಾವು ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಯಾರು ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು ಸರ್. ನಾವು ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ what is the due date of filing income tax return? What is the due date of filing income tax return? Now if you are a company, ನೀವು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋ ಫೈಲ್ ಯಾವಾಗ? 31st October of assessment year. So for example, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಏನು ಸರ್? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಇರೋದು 23-24. ಈ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಮುಗಿಯುತ್ತೆ? 31st March 24 ಮುಗಿಯುತ್ತೆ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಸೊ ಈ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಯಾವಾಗ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸರ್? ಈ ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಏನು? 31st October of assessment year. Assessment year ಯಾವುದು? 24. 31st October 2024 you should file your income tax return. If you are a company. Sir, what if I am not a company, sir? If you are not a company, see, if you are a company, then this is the due date. What is the due date, sir? 31st October of assessment year. And if you are a person whose books of accounts are subject to audit, if you are a person, so for company this is the due date. If you are an audit assessee, if you are a person whose books of accounts are subject to audit under income tax law, ಯಾರ್ books audit ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್ income tax law ಅಲ್ಲಿ? Any person other than company whose books of accounts are subject to audit. Whose books will be subject to audit? If your income is more than, if your turnover is more than 1 crore in case of business, and if your turnover is more than 50 lakh rupees in case of profession. So if your turnover is more than 1 crore, or if your instead of turnover you can also use the word sir, gross receipts. If your gross receipts is more than 50 lakh rupees, then your books of accounts are required to be audited. So audit case allu ಏನು sir due date income tax return file ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ? It is 31st October 2024. That is 31st October of assessment year. Then this case is not applicable to you at this level. ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಕೇಳಲ್ಲ. But still let us see if it is transfer pricing case ಆಗಿದ್ದೆ. ಯಾವ ಕೇಸು ಸರ್? ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಪ್ರೈಸಿಂಗ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ, if you have foreign investment in your businesses and if you are giving services outside India, then your books ನಿಮಗೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಪ್ರೈಸಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 30th November of assessment year will be the due date. And in all other cases, ಯಾವ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್? And in all other cases the due date of filing income tax return is 31st July of assessment year. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಸರ್? ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ, ನನಗೆ, ನಿಮಗೆ, ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲು, HUF, ಫರ್ಮು, AOP, BOI, ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಜುಡಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಏನು ಸರ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟು? ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಇರೋದು 31st July of assessment year, that is 2024. Okay, not okay? Okay, sir. Now, sir, if these people books of accounts are subject to audit, see sir, company gate is always 31st October alla correct. Sir, if these people books of accounts are subject to audit, then it is again 31st October. Okay, na? If their books are not subject to audit, avaga 31st of July of assessment year. Sir, sir, one ಮಾತು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ sir? This is an important question. Exam ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಇದು important question. ಏನ್ ಮಾತು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್? ವಾಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಸರ್, ವಾಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಸರ್, ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್, ವಾಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮೈ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ನಾನು ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್? ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಯುವರ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಕಾನ್ಸಿಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಡಿಲೇ ಇನ್ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್? ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಕಾನ್ಸಿಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಡಿಲೇ ಇನ್ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್? ನಾನು ಲೇಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ನಾನು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಲೇಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 231A ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 231A ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಪೇಬಲ್ ವೇರ್ ಅಸೆಸಿ ಫರ್ನಿಶ್ ದ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಆರ್ ಡಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫರ್ನಿಶಸ್ ದ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಸೊ ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? 1% ಪರ್ ಮಂತ್ ಆರ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಆಫ್ for the 1% per month or part thereof. 1% per month ಯಾವಾಗಿಂದ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? ನಿಮ್ದು ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಏನು? 31st July ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ 1st August ಇಂದ ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. 1st August ಇಂದ ಎಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಸರ್? till the date you file your income tax return, interest will be calculated. So interest will be calculated from the date immediately following the due date till the date of furnishing the income tax return. Then interest will be calculated on which amount? ಯಾವ amount will interest calculate ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ sir? You will calculate interest on net tax payable. ಯಾವ amount ಮೇಲೆ sir? Net tax payable. Net tax payable is nothing but your tax liability. ನೀವು ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲೈಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲೈಬಿಲಿಟಿಯಿಂದ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲೈಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಯು ಫೈಂಡ್, ಅಂದರೆ ನಿನ್ನೆ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ನೋಡಿ ಒಂದು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲೈಬಿಲಿಟಿ, ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಸಬ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್. ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಸಾರ್ ಏನು ಸಬ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಹೇಳಿ ಸಾರ್? ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಸಬ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಏನಾದರೂ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ. ಆ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರ ಅದ್ರ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನಾದರೂ TDS ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಏನಾದರೂ TCS ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿ. ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಾ ಇವಾಗ ಏನು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಸಿಗತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ನೆಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪೇಬಲ್. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ನೆಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ. ಆ ನೆಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪೇಬಲ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ, ಈ ನೆಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪೇಬಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ ವಾಟ್ ಸರ್? ಆನ್ ದಿಸ್ ನೆಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪೇಬಲ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್. ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಏನು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು? ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ಸರ್ ನಾನು ಲೇಟ್ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬರೀ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾ ಸರ್? ಓನ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ 234A ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ನೋಟ್, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ 3 ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 234A, ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 234B ಅಂಡ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 234C. ಈ 3 ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಯು ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್: ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಪೇಬಲ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 234A? What is the interest which is payable under section 234C? So you should be knowing a section. What is that section about? 234A ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡುತ್ತೆ, 234B ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡುತ್ತೆ, 234C ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಆ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ನಂಬರ್ ನೀವು ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ನೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದಿಸ್. ದೆನ್ ಫೀ ಫಾರ್ ಡಿಫಾಲ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಫರ್ನಿಶಿಂಗ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಸರ್ ನಾನು ಲೇಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬರೀ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ ಲೇಟ್ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಫೀಸ್. ಲೇಟ್ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಫೀಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರ್? ಇಟ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ಯುವರ್ total income. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿತ್ತು? ಇಫ್ ಯೋರ್ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಇಸ್ whether it is more than 5 lakhs or it is less than 5 lakhs. If your total income is more than 5 lakhs, then ನೀವು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರ್? 5,000 rupees ಲೇಟ್ ಫೀ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು. And if your total income is less than 5 lakhs, you will have to pay late fees of 1,000 rupees. And ಅದು ಯಾವಾಗ ಸರ್? ಇಫ್ ಯು ಫೈಲ್ ಯುವರ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ವಿತಿನ್ 31st ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ನೀವು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ರೇಟ್ ಫೀ. ಅಂದರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೆಸ್ ದೆನ್ 5 lakhs, 1,000, ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ 5 lakhs, 5,000 rupees ನೀವು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು ಲೇಟ್ ಫೀ. ಇದು ಆದಮೇಲೆ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಲೇಟ್ ಫೀ ಇಸ್ 10,000 rupees. ಬಟ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಅಲೋ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಟು ಫೈಲ್ ದಿ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಏನು ಸರ್? ನಾವು ಇದೇನಿಲ್ಲ, ಟೈಮ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಇದು. ದಿಸ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಸೇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮೇ ನೋಟಿಫೈ ಸಮ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ who did not file the income tax return. Other types of return. Now, what are the other different types of returns which are there under the law? Other types of returns which are there under the law is, first is called as return of loss. Loss return, also called as what sir? Loss return. Loss return ಏನು ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? ಲಾಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಏನು ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ನಾವು ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ವೆನ್ ವಿಲ್ ಯು ಪೇ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್? ಓನ್ಲಿ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಓನ್ಲಿ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಪೇ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಆದರೆ there is something called as loss return. Sir, what do you mean by this loss return? Even if you have not made an income during that year, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ if you have not earned any income, even in such case you will have to file your income tax return, but that return will be called as loss return. Sir, ಯಾಕೆ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಈ ಲಾಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್? ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ you will have to file this loss return because you will have to file this loss return. ಯಾಕೆ ಸರ್ you will have to file this loss return? Because if you want to carry forward some of the losses, future year ಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಮ್ಯಾಂಡೇಟರಿ. ಏನು ಮ್ಯಾಂಡೇಟರಿ? ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಾಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ is mandatory. So the return of loss shall be filed in the prescribed form and within the time limit specified in section 139(1). Time limit is same. Loss return file ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೂ same time limit what we saw. Hence, the return of loss is deemed to be filed under 139. Further, Section 8 ಹೇಳುತ್ತಿದ್ದು. Section 8 requires mandatory filing of loss return on or before the due date specified under Section 139(1) for carry forward of following losses. So, if you want to carry forward business loss, capital gain loss, ಅಥವಾ 35AD business loss, ಅಥವಾ loss of owing and maintaining racehorse business. ಈ ಲಾಸಸ್ನ ನೀವು ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಇಯರ್ಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಫೈಲ್ ಲಾಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಬಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ 2 ಲಾಸಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡೆಡ್ ಬೈ ಯು ಈವನ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಯುವರ್ ಲಾಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಲಾಸ್ ಅದು? ಹೌಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಲಾಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ಬ್ಡ್ ಡೆಪ್ರಿಸಿಯೇಷನ್. ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಈವನ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ಡ್ ದಿ ಲಾಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. Now please note, sir, ನನಗೆ ಏನು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಟಿಲ್ ನಾವು ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್, ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಸರ್, ನಾನು ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಲಾಸ್ನ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಲಾಸ್ನ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಇಫ್ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ದಿ ಲಾಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ ಸರ್? ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್. ಸರ್, ನನ್ನ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ? ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ಸರ್, ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಡೌಟ್ ಇದೆ ಸರ್. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಡೌಟ್? ಸರ್, ನನಗೆ 2 ಡೌಟ್ ಇದೆ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ, 2 ಡೌಟ್ ಕೇಳಿ. ಏನು 2 ಡೌಟು? ಸರ್ ನೋಡಿ ಸರ್, ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನಾಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್, ಐ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಲಾಸ್ನ ನಾನು ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಇಫ್ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮೈ ಲಾಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಯರ್. ಸರ್, ವಾಟ್ ಇಫ್ ನನಗೆ ಬ್ರಾಡ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಲಾಸಸ್ ಇದೆ? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಂದು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಇತ್ತು ಸರ್, ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಸ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಅದು ಈ ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಐ ಮೀನ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ನಾನು ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡೆಡ್. ಸರ್, ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಐ ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ಲಾಸಸ್ ಈವನ್ ಇಫ್ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ದ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ವಿತ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್? ಸರ್ ನೋಡಿ ಸರ್, ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಲಾಸಸ್ಸು ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಓಕೆನಾ? ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಸರ್, ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಲಾಸಸ್ನ ನಾನು ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ even if I don't file the income tax return within the due date, meaning 31st of July, 31st of October ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ನಾನು ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ? ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಇಸ್ 100% yes. ಲಾ ಮೇಕರ್ಸ್ ಏನಂತಾರೆ, you will not be allowed to carry forward the current year loss if you don't file the current year loss return or income tax return within the due date. But set off of previous year losses will always be allowed. Similarly, set off of current year losses also will be allowed. Okay, not okay? Okay, not okay? Okay, sir. Section 139(3) and read with Section 80 does not prohibit set off of losses of current year while computing the total income even if the return is filed after the due date. It only prohibits carry forward of losses. Well, very simple English language alle bardidini. I think that is self-explanatory. Although losses of current year cannot be carry forward unless the loss return is filed on or before the due date, brought forward losses of the earlier years can be carry forwarded to subsequent assessment years. So both these points is something which I just now told you. Previous year losses you can still set off in the current year. And 1 second, okay. Hello.
Expenses don't invoice raise ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನನಗೆ.
ಯಾವುದು ಹೇಳಿ ಮೇಡಮ್?
ಯಾವಾಗ ಒಂದು ಸಲ ರೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸ್.
ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು 15,000 rupees da which I ನಾನು ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ರೀ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ.
ಮೇಲಲ್ಲಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. 3.5 ಲಕ್ಷ ಅದಿತ್ತು.
ಹಾಂ, ಅದು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ಹಾಂ, ಅದು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು 1.8 ಇತ್ತು ಮೇಡಮ್. ಹಾಂ, ಓಕೆ, ಅದು ಕಳಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಹಾಂ, ಅದು ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮೇಲ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಹಾಂ, ಓಕೆ.
ನಾಳೆಯಿಂದ ತುಂಬಾ ಇದೆ ನನಗೆ.
ಹಾಂ, ಎಸ್ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಅದು ವಾಪಸ್ ಕಳಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಕಳಿಸಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಮೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಎಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್. ಹಾಂ, ನಾವು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟಿಂದ ತುಂಬ ನೋಟಿಸಸ್ ಬರ್ತಿದೆ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ರಿಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸಾರಿ, 2 minutes ತಗೊಂಡೆ. ಒಂದು ಮೇಲ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಎ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್. ಬೇಗ ಸಿಹಿ ಆಗಿ ಬೇಗ ನೋಟಿಸಸ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ರಿಪ್ಲೈ ಕಳಿಸಿ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ದುಡೀರಿ, ಲೈಫ್ ಮಜವಾಗಿ ಕಳೀರಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ maximum income you will earn when you take up this kind of work in future. ನೋಟಿಸಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಆ ನೋಟಿಸಸ್ಗೆ ರಿಪ್ಲೈ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಆ ನೋಟಿಸಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಹತ್ರ ಯು ಆರ್ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್, ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಫೆಸ್ಟ್ ಯು ಮೋರ್ ಮನಿ. ಯಾಕೆ ಸರ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಫೆಚ್ ಅಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ಮನಿ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡೂ. ಲೈಕ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡೋದೆಲ್ಲ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಇಟ್, ಓಕೆನಾ? ಆದರೆ ದಿಸ್ ನೋಟಿಸಸ್ ರಿಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡೋದು, ದಟ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಡೂ. ಜಿ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಎನಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್ BCom ಗ್ರಾಜ್ಯುಯೇಟ್, ನೀವು ನಾಳೆ ದಿನ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಶಿಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಲರ್ನ್ ಹೌ ಟು ಫೈಲ್ GST ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಆದರೆ when it comes to representing a client in front of any tax officer, there it should be a chartered accountant who should go. So alli this degree will be very helpful and you can earn beautifully. How much anta kelbedi, how much it depends on you. Like I tell my students that they ask alla classes alli keltare, sir ನೀವು ಯಾಕೆ CA ತಗೊಂಡ್ವಿ, what inspired you etc. ಅದೇನು ಇನ್ಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನ್ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. when I was in my school date, it happened that one of my teacher's husband was CA and she told that I don't know what my husband does, but ನಮ್ಮ ಹಸ್ಬೆಂಡು ಒಂದು ಸಿಗ್ನೇಚರ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ 25,000 ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಆವಾಗ ಯಾವಾಗ ದಿಸ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ 2005-6 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವ್ಯೂ ಇಂದ. 2005-6 ಅಲ್ಲಿ 25,000 ನಮ್ಮ ಟೀಚರ್ ಚೈತ್ರಾ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ರು. ಅವ್ರ ಚೈತ್ರಾ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಹಸ್ಬೆಂಡು, ಹಿ ವಾಸ್ ಎ ಚಾರ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಅಕೌಂಟೆಂಟ್, ಹಿ ವಾಸ್ ಚಾರ್ಜಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ ದಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಹಿಟ್ ಇನ್ ಅವರ್ ಮೈಂಡ್, ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಬರೀ ಸಿಗ್ನೇಚರ್ಸ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ಮನಿ, ದೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ನೈಸ್ ಜಾಬ್. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ಐ ವಾಸ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈ 9th standard only, I decided that I will do CA. So that is why I mean ನನಗೆ ರೈಟ್ before coming to PUC, before going anywhere else also, I had already fixed in my mind that what I want to do in life. Though I was an average student, I could clear this examination. ಆರಾಮಾಗಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಆರಾಮಾಗಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಆಬ್ವಿಯಸ್ಲಿ ಫೈನಲ್ ಲೆವೆಲಲ್ಲಿ ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಬಂತು, ಬಟ್ ದೆನ್ ಐ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಟು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸ್. ನಾವು ಇವಾಗ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಸರ್ ಅಮೌಂಟು? ಇವಾಗ now today, sir, is it only 25,000 which they pay? Now it ranges from 50,000 to, depends on how much you are charging. The person who files who does audit of Reliance Industries ala, he charges 9 crore rupees. Audit fee for putting a signature, doing the audit is 9 crore rupees for Reliance Industry. So just imagine how much money you can earn. Sakkade adu. And I mean ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ದುಡಿಬೋದು, ಸಖತ್ತಾಗಿ ದುಡಿಬೋದು. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಂದ್ರೆ ಸಖತ್ತಾಗಿ ದುಡಿಬೋದು. ನೀವು ಏನು ಇವಾಗ ಒಂದು ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋ ಅಂದರೆ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಶಿಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಅರ್ನ್ ಇನ್ 1 year, ದಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ if you are earning say 5,000 rupees per month, then that only in one signature you will earn. Only one signature ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೀವು ಅರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರ. ಅದನ್ನ ಮಜಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಲೈಫ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆ ಮಜಾನೇ ಬೇರೆದು. ಯು ಆರ್ ಅರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಓನ್ ಮನಿ. ಒಂಥರ ಆ ಥರ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ. ಹೇಳಲು ಒಂಥರ ಆ ಥರ, ಕೇಳಲು ಒಂಥರ ಆ ಥರ. ಬಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. PK, sir, I am watching day 2 video. Watch sir, watch ಮಾಡಿ, ಮಜಾ ಮಾಡಿ. ಬಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಸರ್ ನೋಡಿ ಸರ್, ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಈಸ್ 31st of July ಆರ್ 31st of October, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಸರ್? ಈ ಡೇಟ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಲೇಟ್ ಫೀ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಯು ಫೈಲ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್, ದಟ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಬಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಅಯ್ಯೋ ನನ್ನ ಬರ್ಡೇ ಇವತ್ತು ನೀವು ನಾಳೆ ಬಂದು ವಿಶ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತದು? ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಟ್? ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಬಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ವಿಶಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಎ ಬಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ ಬರ್ಡೇ ಕಣೋ, ಅದೇ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿಸ್. ನಾವು ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ವಿ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸಿ ಓವರ್ ಹಿಯರ್? ಸರ್, ಬಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಏನು? ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ವಿತ್ ಇನ್ ವಿಚ್ I can file my belated return? So if the return of any previous year is not furnished within the due date mentioned in section 139(1), the assessee may furnish the return for such period as a belated return at any time before 3 months from the end of the assessment year or before completion of assessment, whichever is earlier. Now please note, assessment year, say nim exam gave, this is the previous year. Which is the previous year? Previous year is 23-24. ಈ previous year assessment year ಏನು? For this previous year assessment it is 24-25. 5. 24-25 ಯಾವಾಗ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? 31st March 2025 ಎಂಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Now what are they telling? The time limit for filing belated return is 3 months before this. ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಂತ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಸರ್? 3 months before this. 3 months before this ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್? 31st December ಆಫ್ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಲೇಟ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಲೇಟ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ವೆನ್ ಈಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸಾಂಗ್ ರಿಲೀಸಿಂಗ್? ತುಂಬಾ soon I am going to I am just looking for someone who can edit and post that. It will release very soon. 31st December 2024, whatever is there, no, 31st December 2024. This 31st December 2024 is the date within which you should file your late return. It is the date within which you should file your late return. ಅಂದ್ರೆ in simple words, ನೀವು ನೋಡಿ, ನಂದು ಬರ್ಡೇ ಇವತ್ತು 10th of December is my birthday. ಓಕೆನಾ? So if you wish me tomorrow 11th of December or 12th of December, I will take it as belated wishes. I'll take it as what, sir? I'll take it as belated wishes. But if you wish me say next year, so today is 10th of December 2024, ನೀವು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ 8th of December 25 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ನಾನು ವಿಶ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಈ ವರ್ಷ ವಿಶ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಸೊ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ ಬಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್, ಅದು ಗೂಬೇಸಮ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಲಾ ಮೇಕರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್, ಇಫ್ ಯು ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಫೈಲ್ ಲೇಟ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಫೈಲ್, ಬಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್? 31st December 2024 or the date of completion of assessment, or what, sir? Or the ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ವಿಚ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅರ್ಲಿಯರ್. ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್? ಸೇ ಏನಾಗತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್, ನೋ, he is going to do the assessment based on what return you have filed in the previous years. ಹಳೆ ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಆ ಡಾಟಾ ತಗೊಂಡು he will file your income tax return. He will file your income tax return. So that return which is filed by he will not file your income tax return. He will do the assessment. He will do the assessment and he will tell, sir, ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ this is what your tax liability was there for current year, but you have not filed your income tax return. So what is the due date, sir? Before he completes that assessment or before that 31st December 2020, 31st December of assessment year, you are required to file your belated return. Sir, belated return consequences ಏನು? ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಲೇಟ್ ಫೀ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ವಿಲ್ ಕಮ್, and some of the losses also. What is the consequences? Again, a question very important from theory point of view. If you don't file your income tax return within the time limit, if you file it belatedly, then you will have to pay interest under 234A, 234F only. You will have to pay late fees, and some of the losses will not be carried forward. Then we have something called as revised return. Revised return andre ಏನು sir? You file your income tax return now. ಓಕೆ, ನೀವು ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಆದರೆ ಆ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡನ್ ಎನಿ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್, ನೀವು ಏನು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರೋ ಆ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡನ್ ಎನಿ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್, ದೆನ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೆಕ್ಟಿಫೈ ದಟ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್. ಹೌ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯು ರೆಕ್ಟಿಫೈ? ಬೈ ರಿವೈಸಿಂಗ್ ದ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಫೈಲ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ಯು. By what, sir? By revising the return. This is called as revised return. If assessee has furnished the return for any previous year under section 139(1), 139(3), 139(4 and discovers any omission or wrong statement in the return, then he may furnish a revised return under section 139(5). What is the due date? Same. Belated return ಏನು due date ಇತ್ತೋ same due date is there for revised return also. Before 3 months prior to the end of the assessment year or before completion of assessment, whichever is earlier. Now, if you have filed your normal return within the due date, then and if you revise your return, then whatever revised return you have filed, that will go fall in the place of normal return. Andre say normal return 31st July is my due date. Okay, now I have filed my return on 30th of or 28th of July only. I have filed my return. Now this return I am revising on 15th of September. So sir, will it be treated that my return is filed on 15th of September? Answer is no. Revised return, whatever you are doing, no, that will go fall in which place, sir? That will go fall in the place of the original return filed by you. The returns filed under section 139(3) is deemed to be filed under 139 once. Hence, return filed under section 139(3) can also be revised. ಸರ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸತಿ ರಿವಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ನಾನು? ಎಷ್ಟಾದರೂ ಸತಿ ಮಾಡಿ, 10 ಸತಿ 20 ಸತಿ. Once a revised return is filed, originally filed return is taken to be withdrawn and substituted by the revised return. So first return whatever is filed will be ignored by the department, and whatever new return you have filed, that will be taken as the actual return. And the second revised return can be filed for correcting any omissions or wrong statement made in the first revised return. However, the same should be done within this time limit. ಎಷ್ಟು ಸತಿ ಆದರೂ ನೀವು ರಿವಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಡನ್ ವಿತಿನ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈಡ್ ಓವರ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಡಿಂಗ್ 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 ಡಿಂಗ್. ಓಕೆ, ಡಿಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಆದರೆ ನೀವು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹವ್ ಡನ್ ಸಮ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್, ದೆನ್ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಜನರೇಟೆಡ್ ಒಂದು ಮೇಲ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ವರ್ಡ್, ಒನ್ಸ್ ಯು ಫೈಲ್ ಯುವರ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನು, ಆ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನು ಒಂದು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಓನ್ ಪೋರ್ಟಲ್ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಟ್ರಾ, ಆ ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ವಿಲ್ ವೆರಿಫೈ ದಟ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಆ ವೆರಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಸಮ್ ಡಿಫೆಕ್ಟ್, ಸಮ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಇದ್ದರೆ, ದೆನ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಎ ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್ ಈ ರಿಟರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ರೆಕ್ಟಿಫೈ ದಟ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್. ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸೇ ನೀವು ಆಧಾರ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರಲ್ಲ, ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರಲ್ಲ, ಅಥವಾ ಯು ಹವ್ ಫೈಲ್ಡ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಲೇಟಾಗಿ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಲೇಟ್ ಫೀಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಟ್ರೀಟೆಡ್ as ಡಿಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ದಟ್ ಇಂಟಿಮೇಷನ್ ಟು ಯು ದಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಫೌಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಡಿಫೆಕ್ಟ್, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ರೆಕ್ಟಿಫೈ ದಿಸ್ ಡಿಫೆಕ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಡಿಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಟು ರೆಕ್ಟಿಫೈ ವಿತಿನ್ 15 days. Where the assessing officers consider the return furnished by the assessee is defective, he is given a discretion to intimate the defect to the assessee and will give him an opportunity to rectify the defect within 15 days from the date of such intimation, or for such further extension as he may consider reasonable. If the defect is not rectified within the given time, assessee can treat the return to be invalid. Sir, ನಾನು ಡಿಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ರೆಕ್ಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನೀವು ಏನು ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದಿರೋ ಅದನ್ನ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಇನ್ವ್ಯಾಲಿಡ್, ವ್ಯಾಲಿಡೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. If defect is rectified by the assessee after the specified time but before the assessment is made, you may condone the deed. So sometimes even if you ನೀವು ರೆಕ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಡಿಫೆಕ್ಟ್ನ ರೆಕ್ಟಿಫೈ ಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕಂಡೋನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಓಕೆ, ಆಫೀಸರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಇಗ್ನೋರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹಿ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಅಪ್ ಯುವರ್ rectification if assessment is not done. Then ಇವಾಗ ಒಂದು ನ್ಯೂ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟೆಡ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ನಾವು ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹವ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ಡ್ ಯುವರ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಆಫ್ ಎನಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್, ಆರ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹವ್ ಫೈಲ್ಡ್ ಯುವರ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಶೋನ್ ಲೆಸ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್, ಆರ್ you have filed your return for the previous year and a year return alli you have showed a loss, but now you want to show some income for that year, avaga you can update your return. I'll repeat once again. ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಇವಾಗ ದಿಸ್ ಕೇಮ್ ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಿಮಾನಿಟೈಸೇಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಮೆನಿ ಪೀಪಲು ಡಿಮಾನಿಟೈಸೇಷನ್ ಟೈಮು ತುಂಬ ಕಾಸು ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಲ್ಲಿ, ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ತುಂಬ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಲ್ಲಿ, ಆದರೆ ದೇ ಡಿಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ದ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಯಿಂಗ್ ನೋಟಿಸಸ್ ಟು ದೆಮ್. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನಂದ್ರು, ಸಿ ಯು ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ಎನ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್. ಐ ಮೀನ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟೆಡ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಕೇಮ್. ಸೊ say if you have filed, for example, I'll just take an example of say 2021. I'll just take one simple example goskara. 2021 covid ittalva, so because covid was there, no one filed their return. ಅಯ್ಯೋ, ಬೇಜಾನ್ ಜನ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೋ ತೀರೋಗಿದ್ರು, ಅಥವಾ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಸಮ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್, ದೇ ದೆಮ್ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಕೋವಿಡ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಮ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಅದರ್ ರೀಸನ್ಸ್ ದೇ ವೇರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಮೇಂಟೈನಿಂಗ್ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಸ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ವೇರ್ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವಾಗ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಡಿಡ್, ದೇ ಡಿಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಆ ಪೀರಿಯಡಲ್ಲಿ 2021 ದೇ ಡಿಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ದ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಆರ್ ಸಮ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಹೂ ಫೈಲ್ ದ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್, ದೇ ಫೈಲ್ಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಲಾಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. Some people did not file the return only, some people filed a loss return, or some people showed less income. ಇವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದು ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಏನು ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು, ಈ ವರ್ಷದ್ದು ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್, ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್, ಫ್ರಮ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಇದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ 24 months ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ಯು ಎನ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಟು ಫೈಲ್, I'll give you an option to file updated return. Andre, if you have not filed any return for that period, now you file that return. If you have shown loss for that period, andre 2021 alli, adre if you want to show income for that period, then you file a return, you update that return. Or if you have shown less income for that 2021 period, now if you want to increase your income, you please file your updated return. Updated return can only be filed to increase the tax liability. Andre first return alli which you have filed, if you have shown an income of 10 lakhs, now if you file an updated return, you should show an income of 11 lakh, 12 lakh, 13 lakh ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ತೋರಿಸಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟೆಡ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 10 lakh ಫಸ್ಟ್ ತೋರಿಸಿದೆ, ಅಪ್ಡೇಟೆಡ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು 6 lakhs ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್, ಆಗತ್ತಾ? ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. Any person may furnish an updated return. Any person may furnish an updated return at any time within 24 months from the end of relevant assessment year. For example, 2021 ಗೆ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ 2021ಗೆ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಏನು 21-22. ಇದು ಯಾವಾಗ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ 31st of March 22ಗೆ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ 2 years 31st March 24. By this period you can file your updated return. The provisions of this is irrespective of whether or not he has furnished the return or he has furnished belated return or revised return. Andre it does not matter whether you have filed return or not filed your return, whether you have filed belatedly enadru agirli. The provisions of this is important theory questions once they are asked. The provisions of updated return would not apply if the updated return is a loss return, if the updated return is decreasing the tax liability, if it results in refund, or if the updated return is furnished under section 139(1), 39(4). This is third point only. If it is a refund, and this is same third point ge continuity there. Updated return can be filed if original return is a loss return and updated return is a return of income. No updated return if the updated return is already filed for that year, meaning updated return, revised return you can do any number of times revision. Updated return once you file you cannot file it again. Proceedings of assessment or reassessment, recomputation, adella reassessment to assessment ella agidre department kadinda you will not be able to file updated return. Now sir ಎಷ್ಟು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನನ್ನ updated return ಅಲ್ಲಿ whatever your incremental tax liability will be there, no, that you will have to pay, plus extra penalty you will have to pay equal to 25% of the tax amount, tax and interest amount, if you file the return within 12 months, updated return. If you filed it between 12 to 24 months, then you will have to pay a penalty of 50%. Then assessment. Now, normally, ಯಾವುದೇ type tax law ಅಲ್ಲಿ the type of assessment which happens is called as self-assessment. Normally, any type of tax law it does not matter. The assessment which happens is what type of assessment, sir? It is self-assessment. Self-assessment section 140A. Self-assessment ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್? ನಾನೇ ನನ್ನ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಕನ್ನಡದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ನಾನೇ ನನ್ನ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಕನ್ನಡದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ self-assessment. Payment of tax, interest, late fee before filing of income tax return. Where any tax is payable on the basis of any return furnished under section 139(1), after taking into account the amount of tax already paid, TDS, TCS, etc., the assessee shall be liable to pay tax along with interest and fee as per the provisions of the act for delay in filing ... The order of adjustment of the amount shall be paid. Now, ಲೇಟ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 234A. ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ 234A ವಿಲ್ ಕಮ್ ಫಾರ್ ಡಿಲೇ ಇನ್ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 234B ವಿಲ್ ಕಮ್ if you have not paid advance tax liability. Then you have one more interest called as 234C if advance tax installment is not paid, and failure to and consequences of late fee is 1,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees. This is all about your ಏನು ಸರ್? ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್. ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಟ್ ನೀವು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಪ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಧಾರ್ ಲಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಕೇಸಸ್ ವೆರ್ ಇನ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಇಂಟಿಮೇಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಪ್ಯಾನ್, ಯು ಆರ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಟು ಇಂಟಿಮೇಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಆಧಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಟ್ರಾ. ದಟ್ ಥಿಯರಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದೇರ್ that we have not considered for the discussion. Next topic is TDS, TCS and advance tax. So this is a beautiful topic. Exam point of view in the 4 to 5 marks weightage ಇದೆ. 4 to 5 marks you can expect from this particular topic. Before it had a good weightage, 6 marks weightage ittu, but now they have reduced to 4 marks because before income tax was for 60 marks, now income tax is only for 50 marks. So they have reduced the weightage of this chapter also. Now ಇದು ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, first we will study advance tax. Advance tax study ಮಾಡೋಣ, then we'll come to, because advance tax is more important. Advance tax ಅಲ್ಲಿ computation ಇದೆ, TDS, TCS ಅಲ್ಲಿ computation is less, remembering is more. ಅಂದ್ರೆ obviously TDS, TCS you are supposed to compute, ಆದರೆ more than that you have to remember how to compute the TDS and TCS. Advance tax ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್? Advance tax, TDS, TCS. What do you mean by advance tax? ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ನೀವು ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಹೇಳಿ? ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, earn ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. You earn the income in the previous year, and on the income which you have earned in the previous year, on that you will pay the tax in the assessment year. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ನೀವು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ನ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಅದು ಏನು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ನೀವು ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಿರೋ ಆ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಕಟ್ತೀರಾ ಸರ್? ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಟ್ತೀರಾ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಆದ್ರೆ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಟು ಡೂ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್. ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದೆ ಸರ್? ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ ಸೇಸ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿ. ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಏನು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಾ ನಮ್ಗೇನಂತೂ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಅರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿ. ಆದರೆ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ ಸೇಸ್ ನಿಮ್ದು ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿ. ನೀವು ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಅರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿ. ದೇ ಫಾಲೋ ಎ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಪೇ ಆಸ್ ಯು ಅರ್ನ್. ಸರ್ ನೋಡಿ ಸರ್, ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಫ್ ಐ ಟೇಕ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮೈ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಇಸ್ 23-24 ಅಲ್ವಾ ಸರ್? ಕರೆಕ್ಟು ಸರ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1st April 23 ಇಂದ 31st March 24 ವರೆಗೂ ಏನ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಅರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀನೋ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಐ ಶುಡ್ ಪೇ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಬೈ ಯಾವ ಡೇಟು? ಬೈ ಇನ್ ದ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಸರ್? ಕರೆಕ್ಟು. ಆದರೆ ಸರ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ. ಸರ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಹೌ ವಿಲ್ ಐ ಪೇ ಇನ್ ದ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ until unless this 31st March is over? Because sir 31st March ವರೆಗೂ ಏನು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಅರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಲ್ಲ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ತಾನೇ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟೋದು ನಾನು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್, ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟೋದು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ವಾಟ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಓವರ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಈಸ್, ನೋಡಿ ನೀವು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ more or less your income will be same alva. They are telling what they are telling. Advance tax provision ಏನಂತೆ? What is advance tax provision telling? You estimate your total income. ನೀವೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿ? ಎಸ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಏನ? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ನ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ನ ಎಸ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆ ಎಸ್ಟಿಮೇಟೆಡ್ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಬರಬಹುದು ಅದು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು? ನೀವು ಎಸ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ನ. ಆ ಎಸ್ಟಿಮೇಟೆಡ್ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಅದನ್ನ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿರಿ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನೀವು ನಮ್ದು ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ 23-24 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಎಸ್ಟಿಮೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟು ಬಿ 15 lakhs. ಓಕೆ, 15 lakhs. ನಾವು ವಿಚ್ ರಿಜಿಮ್ ಆರ್ ಯು ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಫಾಲೋ ದಿಲೀಪ್? ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಜಿಮ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಥವಾ ಡಿಫಾಲ್ಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಜಿಮ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಐ ಆಮ್ ಫಾಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಜಿಮ್. ಓಕೆ, ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಜಿಮ್ ದಿಲೀಪ್. ಓಕೆ, ನಿಮ್ದು 15 lakhs ಮೇಲೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ ದಿಲೀಪ್. ಸೊ ಅಪ್ ಟು 2.5 lakhs ನೋ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್, 2.5 to 5%, 5 to 10 20%, more than 10 30%. So total tax liability comes to 2,60,000 plus health and education cess. So total tax liability comes to 2,73,000. Now Dilip, nim isti estimation ide. See, you are estimating that your income for this year is going to be how much? 15 lakhs. But sir, practical life ali my income can be 18 lakhs also. Correct alla sir? My income can be more than estimate, or my income can be only 10 lakhs. It can be less than estimate. Yeah, true. That is very true. Then sir, ಆ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ? ಯಾ, ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್. ಸರ್ ಆ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ if my income is less than estimate, my estimate is 15 and my income comes to only 10 lakh rupees, then already I have paid more tax on 5 lakh rupees ಅಲ್ಲ ಸರ್? ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಟ್ರೂ. that will happen. See, because it is an estimate, it is not your actual income. So your actual income may either be more than estimate or less than estimate. If your actual income is more than estimate, then our extra income may you'll have to pay the tax when you are filing income tax return. But if your actual income is less than estimate, then whatever that extra tax you have paid, that will be given to you as refund. Section 15 subsection. Okay, now I have calculated this tax estimated total tax on my estimated total income. Now this I have to pay in 4 installment. Advance tax ಏನು ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ? You will have to pay this in 4 installment. 4 installment ಏನು ಸರ್? 15 June, 15 September, 15 December, 15 March. 15 June, 15 September, 15 December, 15 March. 15 June, 15 September, 15 December, 15 March. 15%, 45%, 75%, 100%. 15%, 45%, 75%, 100%. 15 June, 15 September, 15 December, 15 March. 15%, 45%, 75%, 100%. This is how you are supposed to pay advance tax. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ದು ಏನು ಟೋಟಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಆನ್ ಎಸ್ಟಿಮೇಟೆಡ್ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್, ದಟ್ ಪೇ 15% ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ಬೈ 15th of June, pay 45% of that by 15th of September, pay 75% of that by 15th of December, and pay 100% of that by 15th of March. So for example, 2,73,000, 15% vargu by which date I should pay? By 15th of June I should pay how much, sir? 15% of this, yes, to 40,950 rupees. Then by 15th of September, how much I should pay? 45% of this, yes, to, sir, around 1,22,840. Now I should pay this much amount by 15th of September. So if you have already paid in the first installment, if you have already paid 40,950 rupees, then in second installment you will have to pay only differential. Adri illa sir, if I have not paid anything in first installment, no problem, you pay this amount, I mean you pay the entire amount in the second installment. Correct? Similarly, third installment vargu ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು ನೀವು? 2,04,750 rupees. You will have to pay this much. Adrinda, if you have paid money in the first installment, subtract that. If you have paid money in the second installment, subtract that. Only differential amount you have to pay. And last installment only 100% you have to pay. So if you have not paid anything in any of the installment, then pay entire 2,73,000 now only. But if you have paid something in the previous time, then you subtract whatever is paid by you and pay the balance amount. Now this is what advance tax provision is talking all about. Advance tax means tax paid in the previous year. So whatever tax you are paying till 31st of March of the previous year, all the tax will be called as advance tax only. Advance tax ಯಾವಾಗ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? Advance tax is payable only when the advance tax liability of a person is 10,000 rupees or more. ಯಾವಾಗ ನೀವು advance tax ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು sir? If your advance tax liability is rupees 10,000 or more, then only you will have to pay advance tax. In case of senior citizen who does not have business income, he does not have to pay any advance tax. So if you are a senior citizen who is not having a business income, ನಿಮಗೆ advance tax provision ಇಲ್ಲ. Then if you are a 44 AD and 44 ADA SSC, andre if you are a person who is following presumptive taxation, full advance tax you can pay in the last installment. Entire 100% of advance tax you can pay by in last installment, that is 15th of March. Advance tax on following income is payable from the date when you are earning. See, some incomes, no, say if I am a person who is working, working somewhere and I'm getting a salary, then I can estimate how much salary I'll earn for the entire year. But there are few things, one second. Yes sir. Okay, तो फिर कब चले? हाँ ओके, नहीं तो नेक्स्ट आप जब भी बोलोगे तो हाँ ओके हाँ ठीक है। अभी मैं कोरमंगला में हूँ, अभी नहीं, मैं देखता हूँ कल या परसों आऊँगा मैं फिर। ओके सर। Advance tax on following. Now there are some incomes ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಅದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಎಸ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. See, if I'm working somewhere, ಎಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಯಾಲ್ರಿ ಬರ್ತಿದೆ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು. I can estimate my salary, my total income for the entire year. Like ನಾನು ಮಿಡಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಇಯರ್ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ನಾನು ಲಾಟ್ರಿ ಟಿಕೆಟ್ ತಗೋತೀನಿ, ಲಾಟ್ರಿ ಹೊಡಿಯುತ್ತೆ. ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಐ ಎಸ್ಟಿಮೇಟ್ ದಟ್? So there are some income which you cannot estimate. So on these incomes, on this income you have to pay advance tax from the date when you are earning this. So advance tax on the following income is payable from the date when these incomes are generated. Yav income, capital gain income, casual income, and PGBP income if you are earning it for the first time. How to compute advance tax liability? How to compute? Yang compute martira? Steps. This is the steps. Very beautiful step. Very important steps. Yenu sir steps. So first, total income shall be estimated on the basis of tax regime which you want to follow. Whether you are following the new tax regime or old tax regime, adu nim ista, adu nim tale navadu. So whichever tax regime you are following, as per the tax regime which you are planning to follow, you estimate your tax. Estimated gross total income tagoli, adrinda chapter 6a deduction tagiri, then you will get your estimated total income. Chapter 6a deduction you will not have to subtract if you are following 115 BSc. So tax on estimated total income. So this estimated total income bandidiyo adar mele tax kannadili. So how will you compute the tax? Whatever normal tax is there, tax kannaditira, whichever regime you are opting for. Then you will add surcharge, you will add health and education cess, you will get your total tax liability. ಆ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲೈಬಿಲಿಟಿಯಿಂದ TDS TCS ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಅದು ಸಬ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. TDS TCS credit you should subtract. Now whatever is left over, that is nothing but your advance tax liability. This is the amount of advance tax which you have to pay. Now please note, what is important ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ TDS TCS subtract ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ you should subtract only the TDS and TCS amount which is deducted and paid to the government within the due date. Only that TDS and TCS which is deducted by the person who is paying you the money or the supplier and which is paid to the government then again advance tax liability baruttho adna in 3 installments will have 4 installment you have to pay. Now important is interest computation. Question TDS TCS alli question baradu, it will either be from some of the there are important sections under TDS. ಯಾವುದು ಸರ್ ಇದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್? ರಿಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಜೆ, ಇದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್. ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ದ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಐದರ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ರಿಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಜೆ ಆರ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್. ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ರಿಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಜೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್? ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 194R, 194I, 194C, 194H, 194A and 194J. Normally it will be from these sections or it will be interest calculation from advance tax. These are normally andre majorly these are important. It is not that ಅದರಲ್ಲೇ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ. There are sometimes ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ TDS provisions ಅಲ್ಲಿ there is a new change which has made. ಅಂದ್ರೆ rate of tax they would have changed. ಯಾವ provision ಅಲ್ಲಿ change ಆಗಿದೆಯೋ ಅದು provisions them asking question about that provision is high. Now interest under section 234A, B and C. Now one question ನೋಡೋಣ wherein we will understand in this question we are going to learn what, sir? How to compute advance tax liability. How much my advance tax liability will be there. Then if I don't pay that advance tax liability within the due date, how should I compute interest? So what is the different interest which we have 234A, B and C? Now see this question, beautiful question. Sakalaide question matra. Dilip is a resident assessee aged 32 years having a total income of 12 lakhs. So ಎಷ್ಟು ನಂದು income 12 lakhs ರೂಪಾಯಿ. TDS deducted in his name is 20,000. So someone has deducted the TDS. ಎಷ್ಟು credit ಇದೆ available ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ? 20,000 credit ಇದೆ. Advance tax paid by Dilip is this much. I have also paid some advance tax. ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್? 25,000, 30,000, 10,000, 10,000, 5,000 ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಈ ತರ advance tax ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. You ignore the dates for the time being. Okay na? So for you can take these dates as 12th of June 2023. Then this can be taken as 2023. So wherever 24 is there, you replace by 23, and wherever 25 is there, replace by 25. Okay now, but answer will be same. Answer will be same irrespective of the dates. You ignore the dates. Adike. So the due date of filing of income tax return for Dilip is 31st of July 2024. When you are taking, you take it as 24. Okay. However, Dilip has filed the income tax return on 10th of October. Andre due date is 31st of July. I have filed the return income tax return yavaga sir? 10th of October. Assuming that Dilip has opted to shift out of 115 BSc, meaning I am planning to come out of 115 BSc, that means I am not following 115 BSc, compute his advance tax liability and what are the other consequences to Dilip. So what has happened over here? They have asked me what will be my advance tax liability, and I was supposed to file the return by 31st of July, but I have filed it on 10th of October. So I have filed the return late. So what are the consequences for that? I'll have to pay late fees. I'll have to pay interest. So just interest, we will see. Computation of tax liability. Computation of tax on total income under optional regime. Meaning I'm not opting for 115 BSc. I'm coming out of 115 BSc. Tax on 10 lakhs is 1,12,500, and more than 10 lakhs we have 2 lakhs. Other 30%, which is 60,000. So my tax liability will come to 1,72,500. Other mele cess it is 6,900 rupees. So my tax payable, total tax liability is 1,79,400 rupees. From this I'll subtract whatever TDS is deducted. Correct? TDS TCS credit idre I'll subtract that 20,000 rupees. Now whatever is left over, 1,59,400. This amount is my advance tax liability. This is what, sir? This is my advance tax liability. Ishtu nanu advance tax kattbeku. ನಾನು ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರಿ? ಬರೀ 80,000 ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಪೇಡ್ ಅನ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ 80,000 rupees. ಸೊ ಅನ್ಪೇಡ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೌ ಮಚ್? 79,400. ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಅನ್ಪೇಡ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದರ ಮೇಲೆ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 234B. ಸಿ 234A ಈ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? ನೀವು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ನ ಲೇಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡಿ. 100% ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ, MCQ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ 4 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್, ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ವಿಲ್ ಕಮ್, ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ 234A ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? ಲೇಟ್ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಲೇಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ. 234B ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪೇಡ್ ಆರ್ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಪೇಡ್ your advance tax. Advance tax na either you have not paid or short paid. 234C interest ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? If you have not paid or short paid advance tax do installment. Now, so what I am supposed to pay? That this is the final answer which I have written over here. One angle is change. Final answer which I have written over here. Now let us see interest. Interest ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್? And I have also taken up question wherein these types of question they can ask you in MCQ 1 or 2 marks goskara. Interest under section 234A. When will I have to pay interest under section 234A? Interest for delay in filing of income tax return. 234A interest ಯಾವಾಗ ತಗೋತಾರೆ ಸರ್? ಡಿಲೇ ಇನ್ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ಸಿ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಏನು? 31st July or 31st October. ಈ ಡೇಟ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಬಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ there is a delay in filing of returns. If you delay in filing of returns, you'll have to pay interest under section 234A. How much is the interest? Interest is 1% per month or part thereof. Sir, every month delay gets to interest to sir 1%. Part of month agidru 1%. For example, say the question says the due date was 31st of July. Dilip filed the return after 45 days. So ಎಷ್ಟು month ಆಯ್ತು? August month and September month. So let us take the date to be 15th of September. So can I say September month full agila? Though September month is not over completely, when I take interest, no, I'll have to take interest of 1% for September, 1% for August. And even if it is a part of month, so even if I have filed my income tax return on 2nd of September, correct alla? Hardly 1 month, August month delay agide plus 2 days al file ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ. But still interest will be calculated at 2%. 2%, 1% is for August and 1% is September. So interest is how much sir? 1% per month or part thereof. Part thereof andre even if it is a part of month, it will be taken as full month. Their interest shall be levied yav day inda yav day vargu sir? This is important. Interest yav day inda yav day vargu levy ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? It will be levied from the date after the due date of filing income tax return. Due date ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಡೇಟ್. So from the next day after the due date of filing income tax return till the date of actual filing of income tax return. Due date ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ till the date of actual filing of income tax return. Now interest ಯಾವ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಲೆವಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಸರ್? Interest shall be levied on net tax payable after deducting all the TDS, TCS, advance tax liability. ಈ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಈ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ it will be on which amount sir? See, 1,79,000 is my total tax liability. Adali TDS credit I am supposed to subtract. I am subtracting the TDS credit. TDS credit subtract ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನನ್ನ ಎಷ್ಟು ಲೈಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬಂತು ಸರ್? ನಂದು ಲೈಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು 159. ಆ 159 ಅಲ್ಲಿ 80,000 I have paid as advance tax. Now what is my unpaid tax amount? 79,400 is my unpaid tax amount. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟ್ ಕಟ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್? 1% ಕಟ್ತೀನಿ. 1% per month or part thereof. Now due date ನಂದಿದ್ದು ಜುಲೈ ಮಂತ್, ನಾನು ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಯಾವಾಗ ಸರ್? ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್ ಮಂತ್. ಸೊ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಐ ಸೇ August, September and October 3 months delay ಇದೆ. So 79,400 into 3 months is the delay and interest rate is 1% per month. ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? 2,382 rupees. That is the interest which I have to pay for this case under section 139. Sorry, under section 234A. Sir, I'll ask you a question. Can you tell me the answer? ಈ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? ಸೇ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನಂದು ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಇರೋದು 31st March, 31st July. ನಾನು ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು 15th of September. And tax payable ನಂದು 75,000. ನನ್ಗೆ you tell me how much is the interest which I have to pay. Due date of filing is 31st of July. I have filed the return on 15th of September and 75 was my tax liability. How much interest will I have to pay? Fast, you should tell me. Fast. Super fast. ಸೊಲ್ಲುಂಗು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಸೊಲ್ಲುಂಗು ಹೇಳಿ ನನಗೆ. ಬೈಗ ಬೈಗ ಹೇಳಿ. ಒಂದು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬಂತು 1500. ಒಂದು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬಂತು 1500. ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ, 2 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ವೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ 1 or 2 more persons to answer. ಬೇಗ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಏನಿದೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ, ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಓಕೆ, ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ ತೋರಿಸಲ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ. ಸರ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ? ಸಿ 75,000 ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಇಂಟು 1% ಈಸ್ ದ ರೇಟ್ ಇಂಟು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಂತ್ ಡಿಲೇ ಆಗಿದೆ? 2 months ಡಿಲೇ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಆಗಸ್ಟ್ ಮಂತು ಮತ್ತು ಸೆಪ್ಟೆಂಬರ್ ಮಂತು. ಸೊ 750 rupees ಪರ್ ಮಂತ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. 2 months ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ? 1500 rupees. ಯು ಆರ್ ಆಬ್ಸಲ್ಯೂಟ್ಲಿ ರೈಟ್ ಲಿಖಿತ್ ಕೀರ್ತನೆ, ಯು ಆರ್ ಆಬ್ಸಲ್ಯೂಟ್ಲಿ ರೈಟ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ನೋಡಿ, ಇದು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ 2ಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಹೇಳಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಅನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇರೋದು ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಇದು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. 2 marksಗೆ MCQ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಡಿಡಿಂಗ್ ಡಿಂಗ್ ಡಿಡಿಂಗ್ ಡಿಂಗ್. ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತಿರೋ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ನೀವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಸಕ್ಕದಾಗಿದೆ. ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಹೇಳಿ. ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಇಸ್ 31st of July. ನಾನು ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು 1st of Decemberಗೆ. ಓಹೋ ಹೋ ಹೋ. ಡೇಟ್ಸ್ ಐ ಮೀನ್ 25, ಅದು ಯಾವ ಇಯರ್ ಅಂತ ಯು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಇಗ್ನೋರ್. ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ರಿಸೀವ್ 2 ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್. 1600 ಒಂದು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಒಂದು ಆನ್ಸರ್ 400 ಬಂತು, ಅದು ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಎಷ್ಟು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕಟ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್? ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ. ಸಿ 78,000 ಇಸ್ ಮೈ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಪೇಡ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಸಬ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್. ಅದರಿಂದ 15,000, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿಸ್ 15,000? TDS ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಸಬ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್. ಏನು ಮಿಕ್ಕತ್ತಲ್ವಾ, ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೈ ಅನ್ಪೇಡ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ? 78,000 minus 23,000 minus 15,000. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೈ ಅನ್ಪೇಡ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ. 40,000 ನಾನು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? 40,000 ನಾನು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, ವಿತ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಕಟ್ತೀನಿ. ಯಾವಾಗ ಕಟ್ತೀನಿ? ಇದನ್ನ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ. ಸೊ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ವೆನ್ ಹಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಪೇಡ್ ದ ಅನ್ಪೇಡ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ, ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಅನ್ಪೇಡ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇಸ್ ಪೇಡ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಡೇಟ್ ವೆನ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಇಸ್ ಫೈಲ್ಡ್. ಸೊ 40,000 ಮೇಲೆ 1%. ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಂತ್ ಡಿಲೇ ಇದೆ? ಆಗಸ್ಟು, ಸೆಪ್ಟೆಂಬರು, ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರು, ನವೆಂಬರು, ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್. 1st December ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಟ್ರೀಟೆಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಫುಲ್ ಮಂತ್. 1st December ಆಗಿದ್ರು ಫುಲ್ ಮಂತ್ ತಗೋಬಹುದು. ಎಷ್ಟು? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ಸೊ ಇಂಟು 1% ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್, ಇಂಟು 5 months ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್. ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರ್? 2,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ. 2,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ. ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕು? ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕು? Okay, anyways, next question. If you have any doubt, you please ask me. Calculation nodi. If you have any doubt, you please ask me. Doubt idre keli. Interest under section 234B. Interest under section ಯಾವುದು? 234B. 234B interest ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? If you have not paid advance tax or short paid advance tax. Sir, I took 4 months. Problem ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ. Interest under section 234B. Interest for non-payment, or sir, I did not consider month, I calculated as 4%. ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 234 ಬಿ. ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯಾವಾಗ 234 ಬಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? ಫಾರ್ ನಾನ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಯಾವಾಗ? ಫಾರ್ ನಾನ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ advance tax. Whatever tax you pay till 31st of March of previous year is called as advance tax. If you have not paid or short paid advance tax, then interest under 234B ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ? Now for example, ಈ question ಅಲ್ಲಿ what is the unpaid advance tax? That unpaid tax is nothing but my unpaid advance tax. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಸೊ ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವತ್ತಿಂದ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಮಜಾ ಇದೆ ಇದು. So interest for non-payment or short payment of advance tax. Please note, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕು. ಏನು? ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಯು ಪೇ ಇನ್ ದ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಯು ಪೇ ಇನ್ ದ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಯು ಪೇ ಇನ್ ದ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ advance tax. Hey, correct, not correct. Whatever tax you are paying in the previous year is called as advance tax. Correct, sir. Correct. Artha hai, sir. Yes, sir. So can I say whatever tax you have paid till 31st March of the previous year will be called as advance tax? Are whatever tax you have paid till 31st March of the previous year will be called as advance tax. Correct, Allah, sir? Yes, exactly correct. Absolutely correct, sir. Absolutely correct. Now interest for non-payment or short payment of advance tax. Interest for what? Non-payment of advance tax or short payment of advance tax. Rate of interest is to 1% per month or part thereof. Yes, interest to sir 1% per month or part thereof. Now ಯಾವ ಡೇ ಇಂದ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಲೆವಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ನೋಟ್, ನಾನೇನಂದೆ till 31st March of assessment year whatever tax you pay is called as advance tax. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಸೊ ಇದರ ಈ ಡೇಟ್ ವರ್ಗು, ವಿಚ್ ಡೇಟ್ 31st March ಆಫ್ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಡೇಟ್ ವರ್ಗು ನಾನು ಏನೇನು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ನೋ ಅದನ್ನೇ ನಾನು ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳೋದು. ಸೊ ಅದರ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಈಸ್ ದಟ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್? ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅನ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅನ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾವಕ್ಕಿಂದ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ 1st of April ಆಫ್ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರ್. ಯಾಕೆ ಸರ್? ಇದು ಮುಗ್ದಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡೇ ಇಂದಾನೆ, ಆಸ್ ಸೂನ್ ಆಸ್ ದ previous year is ending, 31st March of the previous year, as soon as the previous year is ending, other next day in the what is the next day? 1st April of assessment year, allinda till the date of actual payment of tax, whatever you pay is called as is the interest under section 234B. Interest shall be levied from 1st April of the assessment year till the date of payment of tax. It will be levied from 1st April of assessment year till the date of payment of tax. So interest shall be levied on net tax payable after taking the benefit of all TDS, TCS, advance tax already paid by you. Interest under section 234B is not applicable if, ಇವಾಗ ನೋಡಿ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿ, 234B ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಈ 234B ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್. ಯಾವಾಗ? ಇಫ್ 90% or more of advance tax liability is paid. Interest under section 234B is not payable if 90% or more of advance tax liability is paid as advance tax. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್? ನಿಮ್ದು ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬಂದು ಸೇ 10,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇಸ್ 1 lakh rupees and if you have paid 95,000 rupees, if you have paid 92,000 rupees, if you have paid 99,000 rupees, if you have paid 1 lakh rupees or if you have paid 90,000 rupees also, ನಿಮಗೆ 234B ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ. 234B ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪೇಡ್ 90% of your advance tax liability as advance tax. 90% or more than 90% you have paid, no problem. So 90% or more if you have paid as advance tax, no problem. So example idu nodi, illide one question. My tax liability is what, sir? My tax liability is 1,50,000, advance tax 1 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ನನ್ನ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ನಾನು ಯಾವಾಗ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ? ನಾನು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಯಾವಾಗ ಸರ್? 30th June. 31st July is the due date for me. I have filed it on which date, sir? 30th June. So tell me, and tax is also paid on that date. Whatever tax of 1.5 is there, I paid that also on that date. Now tell me what will happen. What is the interest which I have to pay under income tax law? ಯಾವ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕಟ್ತೀನಿ? Will I pay interest under section 234A? Will I pay interest under section 234A? Interest under 234A baralla sir, because we have not filed the income tax return late. Adre we'll have to pay interest under section 234. B. How much is the interest, sir? 1% per month or part thereof. It will be calculated from 1st April till the date of payment of tax. ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಂತ್ ತಗೋತೀನಿ? ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್ ಇಂದ 30th June ವರೆಗೂ. ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್, ಮೇ, ಜೂನ್ 3 months. ಸೊ 1,50,000 into 1% into 3 months. ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರ್? ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರ್? 1,50,000 into 1% into 3 months. Sir, 4,500 rupees. Okay, not okay. Yes to sir, 4,500 rupees is the interest liability. Now, can you please tell me the answer for second question? This is a fantastic question. Again, an exam question. This was a 4 marks question asked in the examination. This is a nice question, but the tax liability is 1,59,400. TDS credit I have of 10,000. Advance tax paid by me is 79,400. The income tax return is filed on 2nd of October and tax is paid also on 2nd of October. Due date of filing income tax return is 31st of July. Now their question is, what is the total interest payable by this person? What is the total interest payable by this person? You should tell him that. ಎಷ್ಟು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು ಅದು ಹೇಳಿ. ಓ, ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಸೈಜ್ ತುಂಬ ಚಿಕ್ಕದಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ನಾನು ಇವಾಗ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. See this question. This question, what is the total interest which he has to pay? Tell me fast. Subhodaya. ಅರೆ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬೇಗ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವು. ಯಾರ್ದು ರಿಪ್ಲೈ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನ? ಓಕೆ, ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. 1,59,400 ಈಸ್ ಮೈ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಬಿಲಿಟಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಟಿ ಡಿ ಎಸ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಸರ್? 10,000. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್? 79,400. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್? ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? minus 10,000 minus 79,400. 70,000 rupees ಬರೋದು difference amount. So this is the amount of advance tax which I have not paid. This is something which I had to pay but I have not paid. So ಇವಾಗ what is the total interest which I have to pay? Now please note, now the due date of filing income tax return is 31st of July and I have filed the income tax return on 2nd of October. So can I say belated filing of return agide, late filing of return agide? So interest under section 234A will come and also interest under section 234B will come. Apart from that, late filing fees ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು ನೀವು. 234F ಅಲ್ಲಿ late filing fees ಕಟ್ತೀರಾ. ಯಾಕೆ late filing fees ಸರ್? ಅರೆ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಲೇಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಲೇಟ್ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಫೀಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅದೇ ನೀವೇ ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ ಅಂಡರ್ 234A? ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಡಿಲೇ ಇನ್ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ಸ್. ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರ್? 179. ಎಷ್ಟು ಅನ್ಪೇಡ್ ಅಮೌಂಟು? 70,000 ಇತ್ತಲ್ಲ. 59,400 ಮೈನಸ್ 89,400. 70,000 ಮೇಲೆ ಫ್ರಮ್ first August till the date of filing, August, September, October. So 3 months into 1%. So 2,100 is the interest for not filing the return within the due date. And what is the interest for non-payment of advance tax? What is the interest for non-payment of advance tax? Mallikarjun, your answer for 234A is right. 234B ನೋಡ್ತೀನಿ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ. 70,000 is unpaid into ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್ ಇಂದ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಬೇಕು ಇವಾಗ. ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್, ಮೇ, ಜೂನ್, ಜುಲೈ, ಆಗಸ್ಟ್, ಸೆಪ್ಟೆಂಬರ್, ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್. ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಂತ್ ಆಯ್ತು? 7 ಮಂತ್ ಇಂಟು 1% ಇಂಟು 7 months ಎಷ್ಟಾಯ್ತು? 4,900 or 4,900 rupees. So this is the interest which you have to pay. Interest under 234B is 4,900, 234A is 2100. You are absolutely right, Mallikarjun. Now last type of interest which we have is interest under section 234C. 234C ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಪೇಡ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪೇಡ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ಲ, 15 June, 15 September, 15 December, 15 March, 15%, 45%, 75%, 100%. So if you have not paid the installment on time, then you will have to pay interest. Now interest is very easy calculation. Interest is at what percent, sir? 1% per month or part thereof. Now see, what is that advance tax installment pay model time? So first installment you should pay by 15th of June, second installment 15th September, third installment 15th December, fourth installment 15th March. Adalli ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು? 15%, 45%, 75%, 100%. ಓಕೆನಾ? ನಾವು ಡಿಲೇ ಇವಾಗ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ನೀವು ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ only for 3 months period. So 15th June ಅಲ್ಲಿ if you have not paid some amount, then calculate interest till 15th of March. So 3% interest calculate ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. 15th, not 15th of March, 15th June ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಏನಾದರೂ ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ you calculate interest till 15th of September. ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರ್? 3%. 15th September ಅಲ್ಲಿ if you have not paid the amount, whatever unpaid amount is there, that on that you will have to pay interest till which date, sir? 15th of December. Again, how much percent, sir? 3%. 15th of December also if you have not paid, then you will have to pay interest till 15th of March. And 15th of March if you have not paid, then you will have to pay interest for 1 month, because part of month is also considered as 1 month. So 1% you will have to pay. Okay, now what is important is, when will this, see, this is the only thing which is little different from what you have studied. It is little different from what you have studied. So 234C interest ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? If your installment is not paid properly. So they are telling first installment ಅಲ್ಲಿ if you have paid, yes, to you are supposed to pay 15%, but if you have paid 12% also, no problem, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ interest ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ if my advance tax liability is 1 lakh rupees, I should have paid how much? 15,000 rupees. If you have paid 12,000 rupees or more than 12,000 rupees, no problem, I will not collect interest under 234C. Second installment, how much I should have paid? Up to 45,000 I should have paid. If you have paid up to 36,000 also, Dilip, I will not collect any interest. So first two installment ali government is giving some relief to us. They are telling, though the installment liability which you have to pay is 15% and 45%, if you have paid 12% and 36%, then also you don't have to, what, sir? Then also you don't have to pay the interest. Now third installment 75% ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು, 75% ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, you will have to pay interest. Fourth installment 100% ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು, 100% ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಅನ್ಪೇಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. Calculation is little different over here. Calculation is little different. So ಇದು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Now for this calculation, no, I am taking this question. Which question? ಈ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ತಗೋತೀನಿ. Whatever question we saw over here, I am taking reference to this question. ನಮ್ಮ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲೈಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? 1,59,400. And how much advance tax I have paid, I have mentioned over here. 25,000 by June month, September month vargu 30,000, andre totally I have paid around 55,000. December vargu 10,000 rupees inna kattidini, so totally I have paid around 65. Then I have paid some extra amounts. Okay na? So let us do the interest calculation. Now see the interest calculation carefully. Calculation of interest under section 234C for Dilip's question. Advance tax liability is 1,59,400. Date of payment first ಯಾವಾಗ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಯಿತು? 15 June, 15 September, 15 December, 15 March. ಎಷ್ಟೆಷ್ಟು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಯಿತು? 15%, 45%, 75%, 100%. ಸೊ ನನ್ನ ಲೈಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? 1,59,400. I should have paid 15%. How much does it come to? 23,910 rupees. And I should have paid 45% by 15th of September. Yes to sir, 71,730. Then 75% by 15th of December. Yes to sir, 119,550. And by March I should have paid 1,59,400 rupees. Okay now, so this is what I should have paid, and this is the due date in which I should have paid. Adre we know minimum advance tax ಇಷ್ಟು ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಎಷ್ಟು? 12% ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ, 36% ವರೆಗೂ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ I should have paid how much? 19,000 rupees. ನಾನು ಎಷ್ಟು ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ? 25,000 rupees. ಸೊ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಇಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಯ್ತು, ನಾನು ಇಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಯ್ತು ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿನೇ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಸೊ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಐ ಶುಡ್ ಹವ್ ಪೇಡ್ 57,384 rupees. ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಇಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಯ್ತು. ಇಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ವಾ? ಇಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ? 55,000 ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ದೆನ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇವಾಗ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾವ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? ನಿಮ್ಮದು 45% ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಯ್ತು ನೋಡಿ, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ನೋಟ್. ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ is only to check whether interest liability will come or not. Once interest liability is attracted, you compare what amount you have paid with your actual liability. ನಿಮ್ದು ಆಕ್ಚುಲ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟಿತ್ತು ಸರ್? 45% ನೀವು ಪೇ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಯಿತು. ಎಷ್ಟಾಯಿತು? 71,730. ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ 55,000 ಜೊತೆ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದೇರ್ 502 rupees, ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ 1% per month. Okay, 1% per month. Whatever difference is there, 1% into 3 months. Why sir 3 months? ಅರೆ 15 ಸೆಪ್ಟೆಂಬರ್ ಇಂದ 15 ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ ವರೆಗೂ ಎಷ್ಟು ತಿಂಗಳಿದೆ ಸರ್? 3 ತಿಂಗಳು ಇದೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ? 3 months. Now sir, ಇಲ್ಲಿ part of month ತಗೊಳ್ಳಲ್ವಾ? Correct, they are taking part of month only, but here they are calculating month from 15th to 15th, therefore 3 months. Okay, so then 15th December ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಯಿತು? 75%, which is 1,19,550. Have you paid that much? No, I have paid only 65,000. Therefore 1,19,550 minus 65,000 difference amount ಮೇಲೆ 1% into 3 months till March month interest ಕಟ್ತೀರಿ. And then March ತಿಂಗಳು again I will see how much I should have paid. 159,400 I should have paid. How much I have paid? Only 75,000. Therefore difference amount ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆಯೋ ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ 1% interest ಕಟ್ತೀನಿ only for 1 month. Why sir? March month interest ಕಟ್ತೀನಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. So this is the interest which I have to pay under 234C. This is all about 234A, B and C. 234A, B and C ಆಯ್ತಾ? Now late fees. So 234F ಅಲ್ಲಿ late filing, late fee for delay in filing of income tax return. If you don't file your income tax return within the due date, then you will have to pay something called as late fees. Yes to sir, if your total income is less than 5 lakhs, then 1,000 rupees. If it is more than 5 lakhs, then it is 5,000 rupees if you file the return by 31st of December. If you file it after that, then it is 10,000 rupees. Now one exam question ಇದೆ ಇದು. Again one more exam question. 4 marks question ಇದು ಕೇಳಿದ್ವಿ question. Mr. A estimated tax liability on total income is 1 lakh. So his tax liability ಎಷ್ಟು sir? Estimated tax liability is 1 lakh. Due date of filing the return is 31st July 2025. Actual date of filing return is 31st August. Okay, 1 month delay ಆಗಿದೆ. The tax was paid on 30th August, 1 lakh rupees. Calculate the interest under 234A, B, C and late fees. Under this person has not paid any installment. He has not paid any he has not paid any installment. He has not paid any advance tax, etc. So interest ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? Interest will be 234A ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1 lakh into 1% into 1 month. ಯಾಕೆ ಸರ್? ಬರೀ 1 month ಡಿಲೇ ಇದೆ, ಸೊ 1 month 1,000 rupees. 234B ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1 lakh into 1% to 5 months. April, May, June, July, August 5 months. 234C ಅಲ್ಲಿ 15,000, 1 lakh is the liability. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಯಿತು? ಸಿ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ನೋಟ್. ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಜಾ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಇಫ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪೇಡ್ ಎನಿ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಎಟ್ ಆಲ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ದೆನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್. ನೀವು ಈ ಥರ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ನೆಸೆಸಿಟಿ ಇರಲ್ಲ. if he has not paid any installment. Why? Because first installment ಅಲ್ಲಿ 15% ವರೆಗೂ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಯಿತು, ನಾನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ 15% ಮೇಲೆ 1% ತಗೊಂಡು for 3 months. Then second installment 45%, 45,000 ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಯಿತು, ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, 1% into 3 months. Third 75%, 1% into 3 months, 1 lakh, 1% into 3 months. ಅದೆಷ್ಟು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅದು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಲೇಟ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಲೇಟ್ ಫೀಸ್. ಸೊ total extra amount which I have to pay while filing this return is how much? 16,050 rupees. This completes our discussion on what? Advanced tax topic. Anyone has any question on return of income and advanced tax? Adu keli. Next we'll do TDS TCS. But before I do TDS TCS, let us take a break for 10 minutes. And before I start TDS TCS, another question idre keli. So that we'll start TDS TCS. And GST will start tomorrow. GST ನಾಳೆ ನಾಡಿದ್ದು ಆಚೆ ನಾಡಿದ್ದು 3 days I'll take. If not tomorrow if possible I'll ask sir, can we shift the timings? ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ತಗೋತೀನಿ because I'll have to go out somewhere tomorrow. So anyone has any question, you can ask me. No, sir. Okay. Then let us take a break for 10 minutes. Okay, we'll take a break for 10 minutes. I'll meet you in 10 minutes. Okay, welcome back, students. ಏನು ಮಾಡೋಣ ಇವಾಗ? ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಯಾವ್ದು ಸರ್ ಅದು? TDS TCS. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ, ಮಜಾ ಇದೆ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ಮಜಾ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. TDS TCS. 2 types of questions can be asked. ಏನು ಸರ್ 2 types of questions? ಒಂದು, they'll give you a case study, and the case study will be only for 2 marks. They'll give you a case study and ask you that ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾದರೂ TDS ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇದೆಯಾ ಹೇಳಿ ನೀವು. ಸೊ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಸೇ ಎಸ್, and what is that amount you are required to tell that to them. ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಏನು ಮಾಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಮಜಾ ಮಾಡಿ. ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಆದರೆ ಮಾತ್ರನೇ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಟೆಲ್ ಎಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್, ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟಾಕಿ ಮಜಾ ಮಾಡಿ. ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್. So if TDS applicable is there, you should tell what is the amount of TDS and what is the rate of TDS. And second type of question is returns ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು. What is the due date of filing return? I have filed TDS return late file ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, so what is the amount of interest etc he has to pay. These are the 2 types of questions which the can ask. Now important sections ಯಾವ್ದಿರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? ಯಾವ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಮೆಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೋ that is the most important. highest preference ಕೇಳೋದು ಅದೇ. ದೆನ್ ಅದು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್? ಆಸ್ ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು, ರಿಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಜೆ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ. ರಿಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಜೆ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟು. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಇದಂತೂ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ನೆನಪಿರಲೇಬೇಕು, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ದೇ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಎ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಆನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್. TDS ಅಂದರೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಅಟ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ TCS ಅಂದರೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಅಟ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್. ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ನೋಯಿಂಗ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿಸ್ TDS ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ TCS ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್. I'll just for the sake of understanding, I'll just explain you the concept also. Okay, now say Dilip is a chartered accountant. Now Dilip is giving services. ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ? ನಾನು ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್ಗೆ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್ದು ನಾನು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನನ್ನ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಯಾರ್ದು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಸರ್? ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್ದು ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಚಾರ್ಜಿಂಗ್ 1 lakh rupees ಫ್ರಮ್ ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್. ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಎಷ್ಟು? 1 ಲಕ್ಷ ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೇಳಿ? 1 ಲಕ್ಷ ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಚಾರ್ಜಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಚಾರ್ಜಿಂಗ್ ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಸರ್? 1 lakh rupees ಐ ಆಮ್ ಚಾರ್ಜಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್. ನಾವು ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸು ನನಗೆ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? I am the service provider. Infosys is the service recipient. Infosys has to pay me 1 lakh rupees. Now government ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್ಗೆ? ಹೇ ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್, because you are taking services from Dilip, now at the time when you are making the payment to Dilip, ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ. ಏನದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಸರ್? ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್ಗೆ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದೆ, ಹೇ ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್, ದಿಲೀಪ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಲ್ಲ, ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ದಿಲೀಪ್ಗೆ ಬರೀ 90,000 ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿ, ದಿಲೀಪ್ಗೆ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿ, ದಿಲೀಪ್ಗೆ ಬರೀ 90,000 ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿ, 10,000 ರೂಪೀಸು TDS ಅಂತ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರ್? 10% TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, 10,000 TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಅದು ನೀವು ನನಗೆ ಕೊಡಿ. ಯಾರಿಗೆ? ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡಿ. ಇದು ನಾನು ದಿಲೀಪ್ದು ಒಂದು ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಇದೆ, ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ದಿಲೀಪ್ದು ಒಂದು ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಆ ಅಕೌಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಕಾಸು ಹಾಕಿರ್ತೀನಿ. ಆ ಅಕೌಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್? ಈ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ ದಿಲೀಪ್ದು, ಆ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಏನೋ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ಯಾನ್ ನಂಬರು. ಸೊ ಅಕೌಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಕಾಸು ಹೂ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ಸ್ ದಿ ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ಇಟ್ ಟು ಗೋರ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಗೋರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪುಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಮನಿ ಇನ್ ಮೈ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಗೋರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೇಂಟೈನಿಂಗ್. ಆ ಅಕೌಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಸು ಹಾಕಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ನಾಳೆ ದಿನ ದಿಲೀಪ್ ಅವನ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನಲ್ಲ, ವೆನ್ ಈ ದಿಲೀಪ್ ಇಸ್ ಫೈಲಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್, ಆವಾಗ ಈ ಕಾಸು ಅವನಿಗೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾಳೆ ದಿನ ದಿಲೀಪ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಫೈಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಅಂಡ್ ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಸೇ ದಿಲೀಪ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟು 25,000 rupees. ಆವಾಗ ನಾನು ದಿಲೀಪ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ವೆಯ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡು ದಿಲೀಪ್, ವೆಯ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡು. ನೋಡು ದಿಲೀಪ್, 25,000 ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಪೇ ಅಲ್ವಾ ದಿಲೀಪ್? ಎಸ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಪೇ. ದಿಲೀಪ್, ನಿನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ ದಟ್ ವೆನ್ ಯು, ಸೊ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಮೀ, ಸೊ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ದಿಲೀಪ್ ವೆಯ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡು, 25,000 ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಪೇ ಮಿ ಟು ಮೀ ಅಲ್ವಾ ದಿಲೀಪ್? ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಸೇ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಹೌದು ಸರ್, 25,000 ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಪೇ. ನಾವು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ, ನೋಡು ದಿಲೀಪ್, ವೆನ್ ಯು ಗೇವ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಟು ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್ ನಿನಗೆ 10,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು, ಗೊತ್ತಾ ನಿನಗೆ? ಐ ಸೆಡ್ ಹಾ ಗೊತ್ತು, ನನ್ನ ನೆನಪಿದೆ. ಆ 10,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆ, ಆ 10,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಇವಾಗ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ದ TDS ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ವಾಸ್ ಪೇಡ್ ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ನೌ ಬಿ ಗಿವನ್ ಟು ಮೀ ಆಸ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಬರೀ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆಯೋ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೀವು ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿ. Only the differential amount which is there, no, only that amount you please pay to me, Mr. Dilip. Who is telling? Government is telling. Okay, na? So whatever TDS is deducted, that will be given to me as credit. Now, ಈ entire example ಅಲ್ಲಿ Dilip is service provider, Infosys is service recipient. So concept of TDS ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, the person who is making the payment, ಯಾರು? ಇವನು Infosys, he is also called as payer, and Dilip will be called as obviously payee. The person who is making the payment is required to deduct the TDS at the rate mentioned in the law. Now, because payer is making the payment, because payer is the person who is required to deduct the TDS, payer we also call him as deductor. Payer innonde hesru enide sir, he is also called as deductor, and payee will be called as deductee. Payee will be called as what? Deductee. Okay, not okay? Is this point clear to you? Now, question ಬರೋದು next question ಬರೋದು, ಸರ್ ಯಾವಾಗ TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? When should the TDS be deducted? TDS should be deducted at the time of payment or at the time of credit, whichever is earlier. ಯಾವ ದಿನ TDS, when should I deduct TDS and pay TDS sir? ಯಾವ ದಿನ ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್ ನನಗೆ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೋ, ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವ ದಿನ ಅವ್ರು ನನಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ನ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋ, ವಿಚ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅರ್ಲಿಯರ್, ಆ ದಿನಾಗೆ ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ದಿ TDS. ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಸರ್? TDS. ದೆನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ನಂಬರ್ 2. ದೆನ್ ಸರ್, ಈ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರೋ, ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ TDS ದಿಸ್ ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್, ನೋ, ದಟ್ TDS ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಡ್ಯೂ ಡೇಟ್. ಸರ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಇದು ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ? ಬೈ 7th of next month. ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸರ್? ಬೈ 7th of next month. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್? ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ ಮಂತ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬೈ 7th of January ಆ TDS ನ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಆ ಕಾಸು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಫಾಲೋಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್ ಮಂತ್ ಇಂದ ಫೆಬ್ರವರಿ ಮಂತ್ ವರೆಗೂ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಫಾಲೋ. ಅಂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಮಂತ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾರ್ಚ್ ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ಮೇಕ್ ದ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಬೈ ವಾಟ್ ಸರ್? 30th of April. ಮಾರ್ಚ್ ಮಂತ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸರ್? 30th April ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ. They have to pay when sir? 30th April. So this is basically the normal basic provisions with respect to TDS. Ivaga we will see what is there under TDS law. Yav cases TDS deduct ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, is there any exemption available? Some cases ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು that amount if crosses this amount only you should deduct TDS ಎಲ್ಲ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಇವಾಗ one by one we will see. ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಸಮ್ ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ನೀವೇ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಟು ದ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ನಾವು ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ವಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ TDS. ವೆನ್ ಇಸ್ TDS ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟೆಡ್? TDS is required to be deducted at the time of payment or the time of crediting the account of pay, whichever is earlier. But however, in following cases, TDS is required to be deducted only at the time of payment. ಫಾಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ TDS ಯಾವಾಗ ಡಿಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಸರ್? ಓನ್ಲಿ ಅಟ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್. ಯಾವ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ? ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 192, 192A, 194 and willing 194B, BA, that is winning from lottery, betting, gambling, online money games, 194DA, 194LA and 194N. ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ನಿಮಗೂ ಸ್ಯಾಲ್ರಿ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವತ್ತು ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋ ಆ ದಿನಾನೇ TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ನಾಟ್ ಅಟ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್. ದೆನ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಎನಿ ಮನಿ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿ ಪ್ರಾವಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಫಂಡ್, ಅವಾಗಲೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ದ ಮನಿ, ವೆನ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಾಟ್ ದ ಮನಿ, ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೇಡ್ ಟು ಯಾವಾಗ TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ವೆನ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಇಸ್ ಪೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಟು ಯು, ದ ಡೇಟ್ ವೆನ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಪೇಯಿಂಗ್ ದ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್, TDS ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟೆಡ್. When you are getting any money because of winnings from lottery, betting, gambling, online money games, whenever you are getting that money, ಅವಾಗ TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ನಿಮ್ಮದು LIC ಮೆಚುರಿಟಿ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ ಲೈಫ್ ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ನಿ ಮೆಚುರಿಟಿ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಆ ದಿನ TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಿಮ್ದು ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿನ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಅಕ್ವಜಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾವತ್ತು ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಅಕ್ವಜಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ವೆನ್ ದೇ ಮೇಕ್ ದ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಅಕ್ವಜಿಷನ್ ಆ ದಿನ TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ವಿಡ್ರಾ ಎನಿ ಮನಿ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್, cash withdrawal more than that limit is at 20 lakh rupees or 1 crore rupees, whenever you withdraw that time TDS required to be deducted. See, normally TDS deduct ಮಾಡಿದ ರೇಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. They will have a rate. That rate can be 1% ಅಥವಾ 2% ಅಥವಾ 5% ಅಥವಾ 10% etc etc etc. Okay, there are different rates. 30% is there. Normally ಏನು ರೇಟ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿದಾರಲ್ಲ ಆ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದೇ ರೇಟಲ್ಲಿ TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Whatever rate they have specified in the provision, they should deduct the TDS at that same rate only. But in case of salary, meaning when TDS is deducted on salary and when the TDS is deducted on the payment made to a non-resident or a foreign company, whatever normal rates iruttalla, say 1%, 2%, 5%, 10%, adr mele extra they should deduct. Extra they should also collect up on and above that normal tax whatever is there. They should also collect surcharge and cess if applicable. Health and education cess surcharge. For example, ಯಾವುದು ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಸ್ಯಾಲ್ರಿ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ and his salary amount is 10 lakhs. So 10 lakhs ಮೇಲೆ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? 1,12,500. So but should I deduct TDS of 1,12,500? Lawmakers are telling because this is a payment of salary, you should also deduct surcharge and health and education cess. Surcharge barala, health and education cess will be around 4,500 or 3,500. So 1,17,000 is the total amount of TDS which you are supposed to deduct. So health and education cess surcharge yavag you should add it to the normal TDS rates only when you are making the payment to an employee or you are making a payment to non-resident or a foreign company. Now further ನೋಡಿ, normally ನೋಡಿ ನಮ್ ಏನು TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಆ TDS ನ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಇವರು? The deductor should give the TDS to the income tax department. Correct ಅಲ್ಲ? So income tax department ಗೆ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು ಅವರು? Only when I give my PAN details. So it is my responsibility. Yeah, responsibility. The person in whose name TDS is deducted, it is his responsibility to give his PAN details to the deductor. Sir, ನಾನು PAN details ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ರೇಟಲ್ಲಿ TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Say normal rate 5% ಆಗಿದ್ರು they will deduct TDS at a very higher rate. What is that rate? Section 206 AA says if the payee does not furnish his PAN, then the payer shall deduct the TDS at the rate specified in the section or 20% whichever is higher. ಏನ್ ರೇಟ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈ ಆಗಿದೆಯೋ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ 20% whichever is higher. Now TDS is required to be deducted on amount excluding GST. Sir, what do you mean by this? Say for example, ನಾನು ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಈ ಇನ್ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಇಸ್ 1 lakh rupees and I have a charge and GST of 18%. 18% ಏನು ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್? GST ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರ್? 18,000 rupees. So total invoice value ಎಷ್ಟಾಗೋಯ್ತು ಸರ್? 1,18,000. So sir, TDS should I deduct on 1 lakh or should I deduct on 1,18,000? ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸರ್? ಲಾ ಮೇಕರ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ? TDS is required to be deducted on base amount excluding GST. GST include ಮಾಡಬೇಡ್ದು. Before GST, whatever amount is there, on that amount you are required to deduct TDS. Now, these basic points, is it clear? This is all basic points. This is all basic points. Is this clear? Basic point clear? Now TDS ಅಲ್ಲಿ TDS and TCS topics ಅಲ್ಲಿ TCS I have taken completely, but TDS topics ಅಲ್ಲಿ there are lot and lot of sections which are there. Okay, na ತುಂಬಾ sections ಇದೆ. Should I study everything? Now what I have done is all the important sections I have taken over here. Example ಯಾವ್ದು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, even your institute material, if you see your institute material, ನಿಮ್ಮ institute material ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ ಇವಾಗ? I don't know whether it will work or not. What our institute material has done, board of studies, okay, net is not working. What our institute meter has done, sir, institute meter ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ, they have given some set of TDS provisions with explanation, and balance provisions they have just given ಏನು sir, ರೇಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟು, ಟಿ ಡಿ ಎಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್, ಟಿ ಡಿ ಎಸ್ ರೇಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ, ಯಾವಾಗ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಓನ್ಲಿ ದಟ್ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಒಂದು ಚಾರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಚಾರ್ಟ್, ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ದಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ವಾಟ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಿವನ್ ಇನ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ is more important. So accordingly same method I have also followed, from there only I have taken this point. So we will discuss those important points. Section 192, under section 192, when TDS is deducted if the payment is towards if the amount which is paid by them is salary. Section 192, salary, nature of payment, salary, taxable salary of employee including perquisites. So whatever salary you are paying to employee including perquisites, on that amount you are required to deduct TDS. Who will deduct, sir? Employer will deduct. Who is the deductor? Employer. And who is the deductee? Employee is the deductee. He can be resident or non-resident. What is the rate of TDS? TDS rate salary they have not given. Why, sir, they have not given? Because it will depend on how much salary you are earning. For example, just now I told alwa, nimd income 10 lakhs andre, what will be the TDS, sir? What will be the tax on the 10 lakh rupees? If I am following normal provisions, if I follow normal provision, the tax rate will come to 1,17,000 rupees. So which is including health and education cess. So this is the total TDS which the company has to deduct. So this divided by your income, this divided by your income into 100%. ಎಷ್ಟಾಗತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ, 1,17,000 is the TDS tax amount which I have to pay, divided by my total income into 100%. So it comes to 11.7%. So TDS rate ಎಷ್ಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ sir for this income? If I am earning a salary of 10 lakh rupees, for me the rate of TDS will be 11.7%. So this will depend on how much income you are earning. So what they have told over here, TDS rate for salary is not specified, that you have to yourself calculate. So if someone is earning an income of 6 lakh, so 6 lakh male income ಮೇಲೆ ಎಷ್ಟು tax ಬರುತ್ತೆ sir? Tax will be around 32,500 32,500 plus 4% cess, 32,500 plus 4% cess, 33,800 is the total tax which I have to pay. So e tax mele divided by my income. How much is my income? 6 lakhs into 100%. So it will come to how much, sir? 5.63%. This will be the TDS rate. So what are they telling? For this I am not going to specify in TDS rate. You only decide how much TDS rate is there. Okay now. Next, no TDS will be there. No TDS will be there if the salary is less than basic exemption limit. If the estimated salary is less than basic exemption limit, then TDS should not be deducted. Now sir, when I am deducting TDS, employee, should I consider only salary income, or should I also add other incomes of employees to check whether TDS is required to be deducted or not? Lawmaker says when you are deducting TDS on salary, you should take his salary income. Along with that salary income, you are also supposed to take his other incomes only, other heads only. Say for example, he is working, the employee is working with you, and he also has a house. A house in the avನಿಗೆ rental income ಬರ್ತಿದೆ. So when I am deducting TDS, when the employer is deducting TDS, he will take into consideration the ಅವನು ಎಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಬರ್ತಿದೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ he will have to add his income from house property. ಆ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆಬ್ವಿಯಸ್ಲಿ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಇಫ್ ದಟ್ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ ಇಸ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಅದರ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್. ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಏನು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು sir, I should take only other incomes and not losses. Sir, house property in the loss ಬರ್ತಿದ್ರೆ should I subtract from my salary? ಇಲ್ಲ. So only you should take other incomes. Employer shall also consider income from all the sources under all the heads. Employer shall not consider the losses except the losses from house property. He should not consider any type of business ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರೆ business loss ತಗೊಳಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, other sources ಇಂದ loss ಬಂದಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, capital losses ಇಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, except the house property loss, because house property loss also I mean only interest loss iruttala, so that is easily identifiable. Income of the previous year of the employer also to be considered to determine the TDS. Income of previous employer, say for example same year only I am working in two company. Say first I worked in Swiggy, then I joined Zomato. So 3 months Swiggy ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ 9 months I worked in Zomato. So now at the year end I am working in Zomato, so only will Zomato deduct TDS, sir? Yes, only Zomato will be able to deduct TDS, because maybe from this person, Swiggy person, I would have not got that more than 5 lakh rupees income ಬಂದಿರಲ್ಲ, ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಎಕ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಬಂದಿರಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಲಾ ಮೇಕರ್ಸ್ ಏನಂತಾರೆ Zomato, when you are deducting TDS, no, you should also consider what is the income which is earned by that person from the previous employer. Then tax on non-monetary perquisites. So there are some non-monetary perquisites. In non-monetary perquisites, for example ನನಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಕಂಪ್ನಿ ಮನೆ ಕೊಡ್ತು. So this is added to my salary. Now because it is added to my salary, ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೂ ನಾನು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. So sir, this tax amount which I am paying on non-monetary perquisites, that if you see salary chapter, that is not written as perquisites under salary chapter, and under business head they have told that employer cannot claim the deduction of this tax on non-monetary perquisites. So that important point they have written over here. Now interest on securities. I have invested money in shares and securities. I have invested money in what, sir? Say debentures only. Some securities I have taken. So if I am getting any interest on those securities, any interest on those securities, then section 193 is applicable. Nature of payment, interest on securities. Who is the deductor? Deductor can be any person. Now please note, it deductor or deductee, it is nothing but these people involved over here. Deductor andre yaru, sir? ಯಾರು ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ಬರ್ದಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಎಲ್ಲೋಯ್ತಾ ಸ್ಟೋರಿ. ಡಿಡಕ್ಟರ್ ಯಾರು? ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಸೊ ಯು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕೀಪ್ ದಿಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈಂಡ್. ಡಿಡಕ್ಟರ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಎನಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದಿಸ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟರ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಎ ಕಂಪನಿ, ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್, HUF, ಎಕ್ಸೆಟ್ರಾ. ಅಂಡ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟಿ ಯಾರು ಇರ್ತಾರೆ? ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಸೇ ಎನಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್, ಡಿಡಕ್ಟಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಕಂಪನಿ, ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್, HUF, ಎಕ್ಸೆಟ್ರಾ. ಸೊ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್, ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಯಾರು ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ? ಎನಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗಿವ್. ಸೊ ಎನಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಮೇಡ್ ಟು ಎ ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ. ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ TDS ಇಸ್ 10%. ಎಷ್ಟು TDS ಇದೆ ಸರ್? 10% ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ TDS ಇದೆ. ನೌ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಟು 5%, ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯುವರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್. ಅದು ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ TDS ಇಸ್ ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಸರ್? 10%. ನೌ TDS is not required to be deducted in some cases. Yeah, which are the important case? I'll take that. They have given very big story. If interest on securities paid by life insurance corporations or general insurance corporation securities or any subsidies of those company, or if the interest is on debenture issued by a public company to a individual or HUF, and if the interest amount is not more than 5,000. So section 193 ಅಲ್ಲಿ interest on securities ಬರುತ್ತೆ. So this interest on securities will not come in which situation, sir? When the interest amount is not more than 5,000. For example, as an individual, I have purchased debenture, 9% debentures of Reliance Industry. Okay, now in this case, how much rupees, sir? 10 lakh rupees ಗೆ ನಾನು purchase ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. Okay, now so in Reliance Industry is going to pay me interest. How much interest? 10 lakh rupees ಅಂದ್ರೆ 90,000 interest pay ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So on this 90,000 they have to deduct TDS at what rate, sir? 10%, which is 9,000 TDS deduct ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು they will pay me only 81,000. They'll pay me how much, sir? Only 81,000. Now I have purchased one more debenture. Yes, debenture, sir. I have purchased 5% debenture. Of which company? Of say Tata Motors. Of how much value, sir? I have purchased it for say around 50,000 purchase ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. Now how much interest will Tata Motors pay me? Tata Motors is going to pay me 2,500 rupees interest. Now Tata Motors need not deduct the TDS. Why? Because the interest amount is less than 5,000. It is not exceeding 5,000 rupees. Then next point. Section 194A, TDS on interest other than interest on securities. Meaning last case ಅಲ್ಲಿ 193 ಅಲ್ಲಿ interest on securities was covered. Here all other interest are covered. Here what is covered, sir? Any other type of interest is covered over here. Any other type or all other types of interest are covered under this particular section. Sir, what is that any other type of interest? Say for example, ನೀವು ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಸು ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀರಾ. Say for example, ನೀವು FD ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಸು ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀರಾ. Say for example, ನೀವು RD recurring deposit ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಸು ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀರಾ. Say for example, you have given loan to someone. ನೀವು ಯಾರಿಗೋ ಲೋನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ. Correct? So that person is going to pay you interest, or you have taken loan from someone for whom you are paying interest, etc. Then what is applicable, sir? Section 194A is applicable. Whenever you pay interest, 194A is applicable. As I told you, what is important section? Richa. Which are the important section? Richa J. Section 194A we are seeing. Okay, 194A. Richa Ali. A first point ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ ಇವಾಗ. ಸೊ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಹೂ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ದ TDS, ಸರ್. ಸರ್ TDS ಯಾರು ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಈ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ? TDS ಆನ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅದರ್ ದ್ಯಾನ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟೀಸ್. ಹೂ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್? Deductor will be any person other than individual or HUF, and individual and HUF also should. So who has to deduct the TDS? Any person other than individual and HUF. Meaning if you are a company, partnership firm, AOP, BOI, artificial judicial person, you are supposed to deduct any person other than individual and HUF. Sir, individual and HUF should not deduct at all. No. Wait. Next point says individual and HUF are required to deduct TDS if their turnover is more than 1 crore or if their gross receipts is more than 50 lakhs in the previous year, in the preceding previous year. Andre enu, sir? If, see, normally who has to deduct TDS? Any person other than individual and HUF. And individual and HUF will deduct TDS if their books of accounts are subject to audit. Hey, when will your books of accounts be subject to audit under income tax law? If your turnover is more than 1 crore or if your gross receipts is more than 50 lakhs if you are a professional, then you are required to in that case individual in that case audit will come under income tax law. Now please note one more beauty ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ಇನ್ನೊಂದು beauty ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಾ? This richa H ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Whatever we are going to study in this richa H, for all these cases also deductor is same. Yaru sir deductor? Deductor is any person other than individual and HUF. Who has to deduct TDS? Any person other than individual and HUF. And individual and HUF has to deduct if their books of accounts are subject to audit. Okay now, so I'll not repeat this again and again now because it is same for everyone. Okay now, so deductor yaru sir? Any person other than individual and HUF, and individual and HUF are required to deduct if their books of accounts are subject to audit. Individual and HUF will have to deduct if their books of accounts are subject to audit. Sir, who is a deductee? Any person who is a resident in India. Now deductee can be any person. Person andre individual, HUF, firm, AOP, BOI, artificial judicial person. Okay, person can be any person. Now important when TDS will not come. There are 3 points over here which are very important. Yavak TDS baralla on this interest? When TDS will not come? When the interest amount does not exceed 5,000 rupees. If the interest which you are receiving, if that interest amount is not more than 5,000, then this TDS will not come. Or who has to deduct at TDS, sir? The payer, correct la? So if you are paying interest less than 5,000 rupees, TDS beda. If you are paying an interest more than 5,000, only then TDS provision will come. Or if it is a bank deposit, bank ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಕಾಸು ಆಗಿದೆಲ್ಲ, like FD ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀರಾ etc. If this limit will be 40,000 in case of interest from time deposit, which is nothing but fixed deposit made in banking company, or time deposit made in cooperative society, and deposits with post office under notified schemes. So if post office ಅಲ್ಲಿ, bank ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ cooperative society ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ FD ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ, this limit will be how much, sir? Instead of 5,000, this limit will become 40,000. And if you are a senior citizen, if you are a resident senior citizen, for you the limit will be 50,000. Andre I have taken an FD in the bank. I have taken what, sir? Fixed deposits. I have taken a FD in the bank. The FD which I have taken in the bank is worth rupees 5 lakh, and bank is paying me interest of 6%. ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್? 30,000 ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So will bank deduct TDS? Answer is no. But if the interest amount I am receiving 40,000 rupees mele, yes. So this is important. 5,000 rupees limit is important. Second limit is also important. Now please note. Illi sir, you have invested the money in the bank alla sir. And sir, I am an individual. Dilip is an individual whose books are not subject to audit. So ಆ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲೂ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಾ? ಎಸ್. ಅಯ್ಯೋ, ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಸಿ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟರ್ ಆಂಗಲ್ ಇಂದ ನೋಡಬೇಕು. ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್, ನೋ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟು ಆಡಿಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಟ್ರಾ, ದಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಸೀನ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಡಿಡಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಆಂಗಲ್. So if you are paying interest and if you are an individual, then you will have to deduct TDS only if your books of accounts are subject to audit. I'll repeat once again. One example ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. 5,000 limit. I'll take this 5,000 limit as a point and give you an example. For example, say there is a company called as Priya Sarees. Company under there is a sole proprietorship concern called as Priya Sarees. Who is the owner of this Priya Sarees, sir? The owner of this Priya Sarees is Mr. Dilip. Who is the owner of Priya Sarees, sir? Nane. Dilip is the owner of Priya Sarees. Now there are two people. Okay, say there is a case wherein I have taken loan. I have taken loan from whom? I have taken loan from Kirtana. So Kirtana inda I have taken a loan of 10 lakh rupees. Now nan Kirtana ge interest katbek tane. I have to pay interest to Kirtana. For this loan, I have to pay interest to Kirtana. I am paying interest of, let us say, 10%. So, just interest kattidini, 1 lakh rupees interest I am paying to Kirtana. Now, when I am making the payment of interest to Kirtana, what lawmakers are telling? Please note. Can I say this interest amount is more than 5,000 rupees? Can I say this interest amount is more than 5,000? Yes, it is more than 5,000. Now, what lawmakers are telling? Hey Dilip, was your, so let us say this interest I am paying for the previous year 23-24. So your lawmakers ಏನಂತಾರೆ, hey Dilip, was your turnover in the preceding previous year? ಯಾವ previous year? In the previous year 22-23, was your turnover more than 1 crore? Previous year 22-23 was your turnover more than 1 crore. So case number 1 answer is yes sir, it was more. Then in such cases, on this 1 lakh rupees, I will have to deduct TDS of how much, sir? 10%. Yes, tagatte, which will come to around 10,000 rupees. Sir, what if your turnover for the previous year is not, preceding previous year is not more than that 1 crore rupees? Then on 1 lakh, will I have to deduct TDS because it is more than 5,000? Answer is no. TDS provision barali. I hope this point is very clear to you. This is very important. Okay, na? So we should see it from deductor's angle. Then the third point is not that important. Next important point is yavudide sir, TDS alli on interest. See, first point is important. This first point is important. Second point, limit of 40,000 is important. Third, yavudu important, sir? No TDS will be applicable if any interest is paid by the partnership firm to the partners. Partnership firm, our partners ಏನಾದರೂ interest ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ರೆ TDS provision applicable ಆಗಲ್ಲ. Similarly, no TDS provision will be applicable. No TDS provision will be applicable if I have taken loan. I am not able to find. If I have taken the loan from a bank and I am paying interest to the bank. ನಾನು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇಂದ ಲೋನ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, I am paying interest to the bank, TDS provision ಬರಲ್ಲ. Even if my books of accounts are subject to audit, TDS provision will not come if I am making a payment of interest to the bank. Somewhere this point will be written. Okay, now where interest is credited or paid to central government, avaglu TDS baralla. When it is credited or paid to different provisions of direct taxes under central, here this point is there. No TDS will be applicable when you are paying the interest to whom, sir? A banking company. If you are paying interest to a bank, then also TDS provision will not come. If you are paying interest to bank, financial institution, life insurance corporation, unit trust of India. Section 194C. C for contract. Section 194C. C for sir? Contract. This is another important section. Richa Ali, second section we are seeing now. Richa Ali, next point we are seeing. 194C. This is an important section. Tumba question ಕೇಳೋದು 194C ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Tumba questions ಕೇಳೋದು 194C. Payment to contractors or subcontractors. Nature of payment ಏನು sir? Whatever any type of payment which you are making to contractors or subcontractors. Who is the deductor? Any person other than individual and HUF, and individual HUF if their books of accounts are subject to audit. Deductee can be any person who is a resident person in India. Then what is the rate of TDS sir? 1% is the rate of TDS if the contractor, for example, I am asking someone to do repair of my office work, or I am asking someone to do advertisement for me. Okay, that person who is giving services to me, he 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 is the contractor. So what is that point telling? If the contractor is an individual and HUF, rate of TDS is 1. If the contractor is any person other than individual HUF, rate of TDS is 2%. Now no TDS is required to be deducted. This is very important. No TDS is, this is very important. Mostly question exam e point ge barutte. No TDS is required to be deducted if you are making a single payment to the contractor in a year. You are making if you are making a single payment and the single payment is not more than 30,000, it is less than or equal to 30,000. And if you are making more than one payment in a year, then the total payment in a year is not more than 1 lakh or 30,000. Sir, what if it is more than this? Then TDS will come. For example, I'll take this example. Say Priya Sadis books of accounts are subject to audit. Okay now. So I am a person to whom TDS provision is applicable. So Priya Sadis turnover is more than 1 crore. Therefore, my books of accounts are subject to audit. Now I have taken advertisement services from say Sun TV. Okay, now I have taken advertisement services from which company, sir? There is a company called as Sun TV. Alinda nanu advertisement services I have taken. Sir, please don't erase example. Forward this material. Okay, I'll try. I'll try to do that. Priya Sadis turnover is more than 1 crore. Advanced tax advertisement services I have taken from Sun TV. Sun TV only I have told them to put my advertisement of Priya Sadis. Now, so Sun TV is a, let us say Sun TV is a company. Case number 1. And let us say case number 2, Sun TV is what, sir? Sun TV is an individual. So if Sun TV is company, whatever payment I am making to Sun TV, TDS rate will be 2%. If Sun TV is individual, whatever payment I am making to Sun TV, the TDS rate will be 1%. Okay, now we'll ignore who Sun TV is. Let us say that Sun TV is a partnership firm or a company. Now, I am making payment to Sun TV. Now in Sun TV I entered into contract. So invoice number 1 Sun TV sent me. First invoice which Sun TV sent me, the invoice value was 25,000 rupees. Sir, TDS baratta sir? First invoice which company sent me, the invoice value was 25,000. Sir, will any TDS come for this invoice? Answer is no, because the value of invoice is less than 30,000. Then they sent one more invoice to me. The value of that invoice was 28,000 rupees. Sir, now at least barattala sir, because combined value is more than 30,000. Answer is no. Even now TDS provision will not come. Then one more invoice this company sent me. Estಕ್ಕೆ sent ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು sir? They sent me an invoice for say 20,000 rupees. Sir, ಇವಾಗಾದ್ರೂ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ sir? Answer is no, ಇವಾಗಲೂ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಎಷ್ಟಾಯ್ತು ಟೋಟಲು? 25,000 plus 28,000 plus 20,000. So 73,000. Next they sent one more invoice to me, invoice number 4. That invoice number 4 was worth 29,000. Are sir, individually is it crossing that 30,000 limit? Answer is no. Correct. So ಇವಾಗ TDS provision ಬರುತ್ತಾ sir? ಅದಕ್ಕೆ what I have to see, collectively ಎಷ್ಟಾಗಿದೆ plus 29,000, 1,02,000 rupees is the amount. Now, is the amount crossing 1 lakh rupees? Yes sir, the amount is crossing 1 lakh rupees. Now what lawmakers are telling, on all the invoices which is given by this person till date, other mele you should deduct TDS at 2% or 1% if it is an individual or HF. I hope this point is clear. Very important. Very important. Now, this example number 1. Ella invoices mele 1 lakh cross aita, ella invoices mele TDS cut ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Then example number 2. ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೋ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ example number 2. Example number 2, say same example, invoice number 1 Invoice number 1 was for 25,000. TDS ಬರುತ್ತಾ ಬರಲ್ಲ. Invoice number 2 was for 35,000. TDS ಬರುತ್ತಾ? Yes, ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Only for second invoice. If invoice is crossing 30,000, only for that invoice for which it is crossing 30,000 TDS ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Then invoice number 3 which was sent was for say 20,000. TDS ಬರುತ್ತಾ? Again TDS ಬರಲ್ಲ. Now invoice number 4 ಎಷ್ಟಾಯ್ತು ಇದು? 25, 35, 20. Invoice number 4 is for say 25,000. Invoice number 4 is for how much, sir? 25,000. Now TDS ಬರುತ್ತಾ sir? Now I'll see total. ಎಷ್ಟಾಯ್ತು ಟೋಟಲು? Plus 25, 1,05,000 ಆಯ್ತು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? 1,05,000 ಆಯ್ತು. Yes, TDS will come. Now TDS will come for whom, sir? TDS will come for all the invoices combined together. Sir, ಆದರೆ ಈ ಇನ್ವಾಯ್ಸ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲ? ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. So I'll subtract that 35,000 on whatever is left over. 70,000 ಮೇಲೆ I should deduct TDS of 2%. This is another important point. Now similarly, say invoice number 1 it was 20 say invoice number 1 35,000 ಇತ್ತು. TDS ಬರುತ್ತಾ sir? Yes. Invoice number 2 20,000 TDS ಬರುತ್ತಾ sir? No. Invoice number 3 10,000 TDS ಬರುತ್ತಾ sir? No. Okay na? So I should see single invoice if it is more than 30,000, and collectively it should not be more than 1 lakh rupees. I hope this point is very clear to you. Now that is the most important point. Second point is very general point. No TDS will come if the individual or HUF is taking services for personal purpose. So if I am taking services for my personal purpose, TDS provision barala. No TDS will come in case the person to whom you have given the contract is in the business of playing, hiring, leasing of goods carriage, and who has less than 10 goods carriage at any time during the previous year, and he furnishes a declaration along with PAN that he has only 10 vehicles. Andre if the person is opting for 44A presumptive taxation, then own case alli baralla. Now what do you mean by work? So what are the different contract you can enter into? Advertisement contract ಆಗಿರಲಿ, broadcasting contract ಆಗಿರಲಿ, carriage of goods, catering, manufacturing, these are the different contracts. Now apart from this, what is one more type of example which they give, one more type of question which they ask in example, or I think it is covered later. Advertisement, just understand this. Advertisement ಆಗಿರಲಿ ಒಂದು ಬ್ರಾಡ್ಕಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಸರ್? ಬ್ರಾಡ್ಕಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್? ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಮೂವಿ, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಎ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಮೂವಿ, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಮೇಡ್ ಎ ಮೂವಿ. ನಾವು ಈ ಮೂವಿನ ನಾನು ಟಿವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಐ ಶುಡ್ ಗಿವ್ ದ ಬ್ರಾಡ್ಕಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ರೈಟ್ ಟು ದಟ್ ಟಿವಿ ಚಾನಲ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಬ್ರಾಡ್ಕಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ರೈಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅದರದ್ದು ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ನನಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಆವಾಗಲೂ TDS ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್ with respect to advertisement that we'll see in just 2-3 minutes ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಹೆಂಗಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಸೇ ಸರ್ ನಾನು ಸನ್ ಟಿವಿ ಜೊತೆ ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಸನ್ ಟಿವಿ. ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡನ್, Priya Sarees has told an advertisement company to give advertisement in Sun TV. Now I am making the payment to advertisement company. I am not directly in touch with Sun TV. I am making the payment to advertisement company. ಇವಾಗ ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್, TDS provision ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Now you tell me sir whether TDS provision is going to come. I am making the payment to whom sir? Sun TV. Now tell me TDS provision ಬರುತ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ? ಅದು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. 2-3 minutes wait, I'll just tell you. Next is what sir? 194H. H is for what sir? Commission and brokerage. 194H is for commission and brokerage. Commission or brokerage not being an insurance commission. Now TDS is what sir? Who has to deduct? Any person. Again 194H Rijal cover agide. Any person other than individual and individual HUF if the books of accounts are subject to audit. Deductee can be any person who is a resident. The TDS is recorded deducted at what rate sir? 5%. Again this time there is an amendment, they have reduced the rate to 2%, but we will ignore the amendment which is not applicable for your examination. So TDS is required to be deducted at the rate of 5%. No TDS is required to be deducted if the brokerage amount is less than 15,000, and if you are receiving brokerage from BSNL, MTNL, you ignore this. So if the brokerage amount is less than 15,000, TDS barala. Important point ಏನು sir? Payment or discount by television channels and publishing houses to advertisement agencies, companies for booking or procuring advertisements are not in the nature of commission, and hence 194J is not applicable. What is this point telling? Just now I told alwa. Say Priya Sarees is telling an advertisement agency to do an advertisement in Sun TV. Correct. So I paid 1 lakh rupees to advertisement company. Advertisement company paid only 90,000 to Sun TV. So sir, is the 10,000 which was retained by advertisement company, is it treated as commission by Sun TV to advertisement? Lawmakers are telling no, this section 194J will not apply. Then what will be applicable? 194C will be applicable. So whatever payment I am making to advertisement company, obviously either mele, because there is a contract between me and advertisement company, on 1 lakh rupees I'll have to deduct TDS. Okay. Similarly, same provisions will be applicable for advertisement company and Sun TV. 194I. I is for whom, sir? I is for rent. Rent, another important section. Examly, majorly asked sections. 194I and 194C. 194I, again richa. I is covered under richa. So nature of payment is rent, land, building. If you are taking any land, building or plant and machinery on rent, then this section is applicable. Who has to deduct TDS? Any person other than individual and HF. Individual HF has to deduct if their books of accounts are subject to audit. Payee can be any person. Rate of TDS is 2% in case of plant and machinery and 10% in case of land, building and furniture. So 2% in case of plant and machinery. If you have taken it on rent, then when you are making the payment, 2% TDS deduct ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. 10% if you have taken any land, building or furniture on rent. No TDS will be required to be deducted if the if the rent paid by you is how much, sir? Not more than 2,50,000 rupees. No TDS is required to be deducted if what, sir? If the aggregate amount of rent paid during the financial year is less than or equal to 2,40,000 rupees. So bari rent amount 2,40,000 mail idre matra TDS barutte. Now here one more important point. Say if a property, the property which you have taken on rent, if it is co-owned, then the limit of 2,40,000 will be applicable to each co-owner. For example, you have taken a place on rent. Our rented place again, you are paying a rent of 3 lakh rupees. And this property is co-owned by two people having equal shares. So 1.5 lakhs will go to one person, 1.5 lakhs will go to another person. Now in this case, TDS barata sir, 194 IL TDS barala. Rent means any payment by whatever name called for the asset owned by the payee. TDS should be deducted on advance rent also, because TDS is deducted on payment date or credit date, whichever is earlier. Advance rent to warehousing charges, again non-refundable. TDS shall be deducted on advance rent, warehousing charges and non-refundable deposits. ಯಾವ deposits non-refundable. If it is refundable deposits, for example, ನಾವು ಮನೆಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೆಂಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ರೆಂಟಲ್ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, that is refundable. But if it is non-refundable, TDS will be deducted. Where share of each co-owner is definite and ascertainable. If it is ascertainable, then 2,40,000 limit will be applicable to each co-owner. Sir, what if it is not definite and not ascertainable? Then obviously that 2,40,000 rupees will be taken as blank, the limit only. No co-owners ge separate ಏನು ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. No TDS to be deducted on refundable deposits or securities, because it is refundable. No TDS on payment of passenger service fee by airline company to airline operator. Now ನೀವು ಏರೋಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರೆ, this airport is owned by government. Let us say it is owned by, or it is owned by Airports Authority of India, but there are a lot of flights which are coming, they are landing using this place, and these customers who are coming, no, they are not coming to see airport, they are actually coming to take services from this airline company. So airline company en madutte, they take some money from the passenger called as passenger what is that called as, sir? Passenger service fee. Okay, this money they pay to that airport authority. They pay to that airport authority. Other will TDS barata? They are telling no. TDS on cooling charges paid to cold storage is not deducted under 194I. Now when I'm depositing my goods in the cold storage, cold warehouse ella, is 194I applicable? Am I taking that place on rent? Lawmakers are telling no. You are actually entering into a contract with that person, whoever that person is, on to keep your goods on the cold storage. You have entered into a contract with that person. Therefore 194C will apply and not 194I. 194IB, again in newly added section, they have not yet asked a question for intermediate. Finally, they have asked it once, but intermediately they have not yet asked a question. 194 IB. This is with respect to what, sir? Payment made by an individual and HUF. See, normally we saw individual and HUF another payment madre TDS provision will come only if their books of accounts are subject to audit. But this section, newly added section, 194 IB was newly added, which said even if you are an individual and HUF whose books of accounts are not subject to audit, even then you will have to deduct the TDS if you are paying rent, monthly rent of more than 50,000 rupees to someone. Nature of payment: rent for use of land, building or land and building. Any person who is an individual HUF who is not covered, whose books of accounts are not subject to audit, and payment can be made to any person. The TDS rate is 50%. Obviously, PAN kottilla andre higher rate of 20% will be applicable. No TDS is recorded deducted if the monthly rent is less than or equal to 50,000. So 194 IB is applicable only when the monthly rent is more than 50,000. Now TDS is recorded. Yaವಾಗ deduct ಮಾಡಬೇಕು sir? See, normally, when should I deduct the TDS, sir? TDS normally whenever you are paying or payment date or credit date, that time you are supposed to deduct the TDS. But here they are telling at the time of paying the last month rent of the previous year the last month, March month rent, or at the time of paying last month rent of tenancy. Say ನಾನು ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮನೆ ಖಾಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ ಮಂತ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, or at the time when you are paying, whichever is earlier. No requirement of TAN for deducting TDS. Now normally, see, Infosys has to deduct TDS alva. So Infosys has to obtain a registration number from government, which is called as TAN number. So whoever is the deductor, whoever is deducting taxes in all the sections, illella nodidvalla, this deductor, they have to obtain something called as TAN, tax deducted and collection account number. Tax deduction and collection account number, TAN number compulsory ತರಬೇಕು. But under 194 IB ಅಲ್ಲಿ, the people who are covered, they don't have to obtain TAN number for deducting taxes. They can deduct the taxes by using PAN number also. 194 J. TDS on fee for professional and technical services or royalty. Payment of any sum by way of fee for professional services, fee for technical services, any remuneration or commission or royalty and non-competing fees which is paid. Any person other than individual HUF and individual HUF, if their books of accounts are subject to audit, deductee can be any person. TDS rate is 10%, and rate of TDS will be 2% in case of a person is engaged in operating call centers, and if the payment is made for technical services, and if the payment is towards royalty for sale or distribution of cinematographic films. Now please note, the limit is 30,000 for professional services, 30,000 for technical services, 30,000 for royalty, and 30,000 for competing fees. And this is separate limit. It is combined alla. Combined limit 30,000 alla. For all this payment, it is 30,000 separately. Only for director fees which you are paying, there is no limit. Please note, director can be of two types: employee director, non-employee director. Non-employee director ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು. Employee director, he will be receiving salary. So for director fee, there is no limit. Even for 1 rupee, you are allowed to deduct TDS. Now TDS is required to be deducted by individual and HUF. Yes, in first two cases. Mickey cases ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. Individual and HUF whose books of accounts are subject to audit, not normal people. The limit of 30,000 is for previous year is applicable for each payment separately except director fees. No TDS if individual and HUF are taking the services for personal consumption. Say I am taking services from a lawyer for my personal purpose, no TDS is required to be deducted. Amount paid for use or right to use computer falls within the meaning of royalty. So if I am taking computers on rent, then also TDS is required to be deducted under section 194J, and 194C is not applicable. Payment to third party operators by insurance company, 194J is applicable. Now insurance company, they have lots of agents who will be there in the hospitals, So any person who is coming, who has met with accident, etc., his hospital will we can go to the hospital and get it paid through insurance ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ, medical insurance ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ, you can make the payment through that insurance company. So there are a lot of third party operators over there who will help in doing this transaction. So this insurance company will make the payment to the hospital, because they are involved in this transaction, 194J will be applicable. 194M, TDS for payment of commission, brokerage, professional fees to contractors. See, normally, commission already we have discussed, professional fee just now we saw. Now they are telling, if you are making any payment to contractor, 194C case, if you are making the payment to any commission, 194 H case ankotini, and if you are making any payment of professional fees, 194J is normally applicable. But if all these services is taken by individual HUF who is not covered under 194G, 194C, H and J, and if they are making payment to resident, then they'll have to deduct TDS at 5% if the total payment made by them is more than 50 lakh rupees. Andre, in simple words, Nanu, a normal individual, I am doing interior designing of my house by paying 80 lakh rupees. So lawmakers want to see who is this person who is so rich that money interior designer he is paying more than 50 lakh rupees. I have taken services from an advocate. I am an individual who does not have any business, and I have taken services from an advocate. Now lawmaker, and I am paying that advocate 1.5 ಕೋಟಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. Now lawmakers says, I want to see, I want to know who is this person who has so much money to pay. So they are telling, if you are an individual HUF who are not covered under these sections, then you will be covered under 194M if the payment made by you is more than 50 lakh rupees. 194N, cash withdrawal goskara. If you withdraw any cash from bank or cooperative society, and if the withdrawal is more than 1 crore rupees, then TDS is applicable at 9%. And if you are a defaulter, then the rate of TDS is 5%. Defaulter yaru sir, that person who has not filed income tax return for last 3 years. The rate for defaulter, if it is more than 20 lakhs up to 1 crore, 2% to more than 1 crore, andre 5% is the rate. Now other provisions of TDS. Now fatafat we'll see. These are the major things which are important. Apart from that, 194B, TDS in case of lottery, betting and gambling, 30%. Okay, and I think 194P or 194O, TDS for sale of goods in excess, TDS for sale of goods, the rate of TDS is 0.5%. If the sale value, if the payment made is more than 50 lakh rupees, the deductor should be that person whose turnover is more than 10 crore rupees. So these two sections you just see because recent exam they had asked a question. Now, concept of grossing up. Now, whenever you are, this self-explanatory I have written in such a way that you'll understand by reading only. Say, income received by the assessee will be income after TDS, correct? Allah? So when I'm adding the income in my computation, okay, should I add the income which I have received or income before TDS? You should add the income before TDS. Yesterday we did a question on that. Now, sir, can the TDS be deducted at a lower rate? Answer is yes, TDS can be deducted at a lower rate. For that, you will have to obtain something called as lower deduction certificate. Where the total income is not liable to tax or is required to be taxed at a lower rate, a person can make an application to the assessing officer for no TDS deducting certificate or lower deducting TDS certificate. Section 197A, Form 15G and 15H, where the total income of resident assessee is below basic exemption limit, no TDS is required to be deducted under these sections. And for making this, he has to give a declaration under Form 15G. And if you are a senior citizen, the form for you is 15H. TDS is income received. So this is nothing but the grossing up concept. So even if you have received a lesser amount, whatever TDS is deducted, no, the TDS amount is also required to be considered as your income only. 199 TDS credit. Whatever TDS is deducted, that will be going to your account, and that credit you can take at the time of filing income tax return. Due date of depositing TDS for April to September, it is 7th of next month, and for the month of March, 30th April. And due date for TCS is 7th of next month, irrespective of which period it is. What is now, once the TDS is deducted, that is required to be deposited. A deposit goskara we saw the due date. Now, ಯಾರ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀನಿ, ಯಾರ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ TDS ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀನಿ, ಅದು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗೆಲ್ಬೇಕು ತಾನೆ. ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಸರ್? TDS return is required to be filed. This return is required to be filed on quarterly basis. What is the due date? April quarter ಆಗಿದ್ದು next month last date. April to June 31st July, July to September 31st October, October to December 31st January, January to March 31st of May. And in case of TCS, it is 15th July, 15th October, 15th January, and 15th May. So TDS ali 31st of next month and TCS ali 15th of next month. Now, what is the different types of TDS returns which I have to file? 24Q, 24Q is for salary, 26Q is for all other cases. And madhyadalli iradu 27Q is for payment to non-resident. These two returns are not that important. What are the consequences if a person fails to deduct TDS? He will be called as assessee in default. What will happen if assessee in default? Then he will, if the payer does not deduct the TDS, or after deducting TDS he does not pay to the government, he will be called as assessee in default. And he may have to pay a penalty which may extend up to 100% of TDS amount. Payer shall not be regarded as an assessee in default if pay satisfies the following conditions. I will not be treated as assessing default if the person to whom I have made the payment, he has filed his income tax return after considering my that amount, and CS certificate is required to be given. Interest liability, if I don't deduct the TDS within the late deduction of TDS 1% per month, late payment of TDS to the government 1.5% per month. TDS certificate kodbekagutte to tell that yes, I have deducted the TDS, and TDS rate of TDS will be normally whatever rate is there. That rate I'll have to deduct, or the higher rate, if PAN is not given, higher rate of 20% will be applicable. Now here one more section is there, 206 AB CCA, which says if the TDS is payable and has not been not filed, if the TDS, in case of TDS or TCS, if the payee or the collectee has not filed his income tax return for the last year, the rate of TDS will be twice of the TDS rate of 5%, whichever is higher. Now TCS, Richa, which section is R? 194R. Tax collected at source. TCS is a very simple provision. I mean, there are only few points where TCS will be collected. Hardly 4 sections are there over here, or 5 sections are there. Now again, here more important is TDS when compared to TCS. TCS ali car purchase is important. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption can 1% TDS, tendu leaves, timber, scrap, or forest produce materials, minerals, they have given the TDS rates 1%, 5%, 2.5%. Who is the collector, sir? Who should collect? TCS andre enu, sir? The person who is supplying only should collect extra money. That is TCS, tax collected at source. Any person other than individual and individual HF, if their books of accounts are subject to audit. Collectee can be any person other than who buys such goods for personal consumption. So if I am buying alcoholic liquor for my personal consumption, TCS provision will not come. And central government, state government cases over TCS provisions will not come. No TCS shall be collected if the resident buyer furnishes that the goods are utilized by him for the purpose of generation of power, and if the buyer has a turnover more than 10 crore rupees, then the buyer can direct ask him to follow 194Q instead of this TCS provision, meaning the buyer can say I will only deduct the TDS, you don't have to follow TCS provision. Then in case if you have taken any place on rent, if you have taken license or lease to lease of parking lot, toll plaza, or mine or quarry, then TCS you have to collect extra 2%. Who has to collect, sir? Individual, any person other than individual HUF and individual HUF if their books of accounts are subject to audit. Collectee can be any person other than public sector undertaking. And if you are selling a motor vehicle whose value is more than 10 lakh rupees, 1% is the rate of TCS. Any person other than individual HUF and individual HUF if their books of accounts are subject to audit. And who is the collectee, sir? Any person from whom you are purchasing that vehicle, except if the seller is public sector undertaking, central government, state government, high commission, etc., then TCS provision will not come. Now TCS is applicable only at retail level. For example, Tata Motors is manufacturing car. That manufacturer will give it to a showroom, and that showroom is going to sell the car to the final consumer, that is the retailer for us, the final consumer namgalige. So ivaga Tata Motor sale ಮಾಡ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ TCS applicable ಆಗುತ್ತಾ? Only when you go purchase the car, only when the final consumer is purchasing the car, TCS provision will be applicable in case of car. Now, remittance of money of more than 7 lakh rupees under liberalized remittance scheme. So if you're going for any medical treatment outside India, education outside India, then TCS will come. If the amount is more than 7 lakh, 5%, or else 20% is the rate of TDS. And if you're going for a foreign travel, then also TCS will come at the rate of 5% if the amount is more up to 7 lakhs, and if it is more than 7 lakh, 20% if you're going for foreign travel. Then sale of goods. For sale of goods, TCS at the rate of 0.1% of consideration if the amount paid by you is more than 50 lakh rupees. Who has to deduct? Only those people whose books of whose turnover is more than 10 crore rupees. Then what is the time limit, sir? Time limit, I think at the time of debiting or at the time of receiving the money, whichever is earlier. Interest is 1% per annum, and rate of TDS will be twice the rate or 20%, whichever is higher, if PAN number or Aadhaar number is not given by the deductee or payee, collectee. Okay, so this is all about your TDS TCS provision. We have almost completed everything under our income tax law. Only thing which we have left is what, sir? Residential status, agricultural income. ಅದು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇನ್ನೇನು ಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ? Yeah, apart from that, almost everything we have covered under income tax law. If you want, we'll cover that also, because hardly it will take half an hour for us to complete that. But I think majorly all the topics, around 90% of the syllabus we have gone through, and I have tried to explain them in the best possible manner. So anyone has any question, you can always ask me. That group is anyways there, you can anyways always ask questions in that group. Now from my next class, tomorrow I'll be starting in GST. So maybe 3 days I'll take GST and I'll complete GST also. So tomorrow I'll be taking up in the morning. Okay, na ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ತಗೋತೀನಿ 7:30. I'll take 7:30 class. Okay, so if anyone has any question, you can ask me. That is all from my side for the day. Till then, tada, bye bye, take care.